In a world where the struggle for power and wealth reaches new heights, one man stands at the crossroads of worlds and times. Dronzer, whose life has become one of struggle and survival, is plunged into the ruthless world of business and magic, where every step can cost his life. But his strength and cunning put him on par with the legends. Can he survive and rise to the top in this crazy new world? Today you will find out. Manhwa Mentor is with you. Don't forget to like this video, as well as subscribe to the channel. Enjoy watching. For 3 years of his adult life, the hero could not boast of having a car, a house, or a girlfriend, and this bothered him. Since childhood, he was a fighting guy, dedicated to one truth: create miracles with power, and this conviction led him to constant practice of martial arts. All his opponents claimed that he was a failure in battle. Many rivals were defeated, but no one denied that the hero was worthy of battle. Surrounded and ready to retreat, they begged for mercy, asking him to stop beating them. Even his older brother begged him to leave their faces alone. At that time, the hero realized that winning was not so easy. Turning out to be a legendary demon named Dronzer, he defeated the martial arts school without losing a drop of sweat. Initially, he just wanted to test his strength by challenging a few people, but suddenly he gained many followers. Taking his younger brothers, he began to fight for justice in the city where they all lived. Sometimes Dronzer was involved in big business. At one party, he announced that they had driven out the Axe gang, and now Du himself would be the leader. A very famous gang was now under his control, and he planned to invest their funds in other people's businesses. This way, everyone could make money together. One of those present noted that they had previously been oppressed by members of the Axe gang, but with the advent of Du, things are finally looking up for Dronzer. Many businessmen agreed to give away part of their business and even share half of the profits. Those around him considered him an outstanding person. Soon, from the guy who had nothing, Dronzer turned into an entrepreneur with money, a girlfriend, and status. Everything was blooming, business was thriving, but scoundrels appeared who wanted him dead. There were many of them, because everyone wanted part of the protagonist's wealth. At that time, the enemies had no idea who they were attacking, because the hero himself was extraordinary. He easily repelled any attacks, possessing a variety of martial arts, and single-handedly dealt with an entire army. The attempts of their enemies did not bring them any benefit. The scene moves to Du's personal account, Dronzer, where he discusses business with a girl. She expresses hope for successful cooperation and warns him to be careful, as someone may encroach on his share in the business. The self-confident guy thanks the girl named Yufeng and claims that his enemies are afraid to attack him. At the moment, only he and Jiro know about the secret conversation, and Jiro is preparing for a celebratory banquet. The lady named Jiro, knowing that the gun poses no threat, still tries to protect it from the bullet, causing Yufeng to become distrustful. Looking at his phone, the guy realizes that something is wrong, and Jiro still hasn't come, although she should have. In the message, Jiro says that she has prepared a gift and asks to prepare to receive it. Suddenly, a deafening rumble is heard, and an unknown sound comes from behind the guy. A giant plane crashes into the window, and Dronzer is surprised that they even tried to attack him by plane. The plane is damaged, and it is too late, but he always sticks to his slogan to remain optimistic in any situation. This approach to life was his motto. He orders Yufeng to watch what happens. Waving his fist, he is about to strike with unimaginable force to destroy the giant plane. The blow is aimed directly at the side of the plane, and it slows down sharply after a crushing blow. At that time, the hero feels something unusual that he has never experienced before. When he collides with the plane, everything around him changes color, and he thinks he is dead. After looking around, Dronzer realizes that, fortunately, he is still alive. Laughing, he reflected on what he had been told, that if a person experiences a disaster, then a blessing awaits him. And after all the events, he called his blessing the Champions League. Suddenly, in front of Dronzer arose as a beautiful goddess of the system, impressive with her beauty. Several more beauties came into his field of vision, one of whom was called Beautiful Little Sister Chuan. The other one was an amazing little sister. The third was called a sweet little girl. And even more beautiful heroines, arousing admiration for their beauty. Watching all these girls, Ganren realized that there was not only beauty, but also many advantages. He could freely enjoy the sight of the beautiful ladies around him, and no one punished him for it. But just when he thought he could enjoy the blessing of all these people, things didn't go according to plan. After all, he discovered that he was in the midst of the end of the world with rampant zombies. Crowds of the living dead roamed the ruined outskirts of the city, eating all the living who came across their path. They were all in a terrible world full of dangers, and there were some plugins present, and all the skills were in front of him, and the goddess of the system told him how to improve them and view detailed characteristics. The first skill that he decided to upgrade was pupil surgery, a special ability of the eye, but its level was 0, so far useless, and only basic functions were promising. Without hesitation, he chose this skill and upgraded it first. The space around him immediately began to change, and a bright light surrounded his human silhouette. The eye itself also changed, and now resembled the eye of a predator. Instantly, the hero decided to test his new ability by looking at the goddess of the system. Suddenly, a girl in beautiful clothes appeared in front of him, and something changed in her. There is no free lunch in the world, so he asked the girl to let him stay alive and give him a zombie-killing plugin to save the future, and then all the zombies turned to gold right before his eyes. It was truly amazing. In one moment, many dead people turned into mountains of gold. In this story, the hero expresses dissatisfaction with the fact that 3 years of his adult life have already passed, but at the same time, he does not have a car, a house, and a girlfriend. Since childhood, he was a fighting guy, but he always adhered to the idea that strength can work miracles, and he diligently practiced martial arts. All his opponents claimed that he was a failure in battle. Although many were defeated in duels, they still did not recognize the hero as worthy of fighting. Even surrounded and ready to leave, they begged for mercy, begging the hero to stop the beating. Even his elder brother begged him not to touch their faces. Nevertheless, the hero realized that winning was not so easy. It turned out that the main character Ganren, a legendary demon who defeated a martial arts school without breaking a sweat. He originally wanted to test his strength by calling out some people, but suddenly he gathered a lot of followers. From then on, he took his younger brothers and began to fight for justice in his city. From time to time, Ganren was also involved in big business. At one party in front of many guests, he announced that the Axe Gang had been defeated by him, and he was now its leader. The Axe Gang was famous for its money, and now Ganren could dispose of them. He planned to invest it in other people's businesses so they could make money together. One of the men noted that the Axe Gang used to bully them, but now, with Ganren, their business will begin to flourish. Many businessmen agreed to share their share of the business, and even offered to share half of the profits. Everyone around him considered him an amazing person. Soon, from the poor guy, Ganren turned into an entrepreneur with all the money, girlfriend, and status. Everything was blooming, business was thriving, but scoundrels appeared ready to kill him. There were many of them. Everyone wanted to get their piece of the protagonist's wealth. But let's go back to reality, where Ganren just got into the system. Waking up in the world of the system, he realized that all previous events were just a dream. Reflecting on what happened, he remembered the plane crash and his death. Realizing that Hao Lanjin really died, he remembered with regret that he died in front of his people. The guy even wondered if he could really defeat the plane with his bare hands. He noticed that his savior, Jiro, could be used by someone else. Suddenly, a notification appeared on the screen, and he found out that his name was Hao Lanjin. Chosen by the system as the savior of doomsday, he had a chance to return to his world. Received position amazed his. He learned that his world would collapse if he gave up his role as savior. The hero realized that he had been given a unique chance in the world of the apocalypse. He reflected that similar situations often occur in children's fairy tales. But despite all the questions, he had no choice. With confidence and joy, he accepted the challenge of the system. Suddenly, a bright and mysterious light began to appear around him. Appeared silhouette goddesses' systems. The goddess congratulated him on his new status as master of the system. Before starting, she decided to talk about the world of the apocalypse. In 2030, a special drink with unknown consequences has spread. People drank it without knowing what variables they were introducing into the future. It all started when the first person felt sick after drinking a mysterious drink. This was accompanied by dire consequences. The first noticeable effect was the transformation into a zombie. Zombies, hunting for blood and flesh, began to attack innocents. Anyone who was bitten by a zombie also transformed, and the virus continued to spread. Society has lost control, and the world has turned into an apocalypse. Hao Lanzhen was called to this world to save people and restore order, and he had to remember that he did not have a second chance at rebirth, and he had to try to stay alive. Doubting his abilities, Hao Lanzhen did not believe that he could save the apocalyptic world, especially since he was sent there without weapons. This answer did not suit the lady, and she offered to help him by giving him the ability. At first, there were 98 chosen ones, and they all failed, but Hao Lanzhen was the 99th and, as the chosen one, received the support of the goddess. This number of chosen ones amazed the hero, who did not expect that so many people were trying to save the world. The goddess expected Hao Lanzhen would be scared, but he decided to handle it himself instead. While he thought the system was useless, the control system rebelled. To increase his chances of survival, the system offered him a choice of abilities. Although there were many abilities, the chosen one could only choose one, and once chosen, there was no chance of changing his mind. Considering your options, Hao Lanzhen realized that he knew almost all Shaolin techniques, so he decided not to choose them. Suddenly, one ability caught his attention. It was a magic eye, a special eye technique whose level was 0, but with the ability to increase, providing X-ray vision. The joyful guy chose this ability. A bright light enveloped him, and his eyes underwent a transformation, as the chosen ability affected not only his vision, but also the eyes themselves. The eyes changed, resembling the eyes of a predator. At this moment, Hao Lanzhen decides to consider the goddess of the system. His gaze is directed at her clothing, as he wants to see how the fifth eye X-ray technique works. This kind of curiosity does not please the goddess, and she is ordered to stop using the magical eye, and he just wanted to understand how this ability works. With sadness, she realizes that she will have to endure this guy in order to save the world. The use of the magic eye to peek up girls' skirts does not suit the goddess, and she has to explain that the magic eye includes a system technique called the Eye of the Head. In the world of the apocalypse, gold has lost its value, but in the hands of Hao Lanzhen, it becomes a valuable material. To become stronger, he needs gold, and to save the world and return through the eye gate, he will have to sacrifice coins, and his magical eye is still at 0 level, and he only has one X-ray ability. Understanding the value of this ability, the guy realizes that thanks to the Gate of the Eyes, he will be able to return to his world. Laughing evilly, Hao thinks about how he will finish off the traitors, because the goddess allowed him to be reborn, and they will soon find out about it. In addition to the class ability, the system gives him a beginner's bag with food for 20 days and a blade. These items can be retrieved with the power of thought and must be used wisely, and the lady wishes the guy good luck. If Lanren kills a zombie, he receives surprises and gifts, and teleportation begins immediately after. A moment later, the hero finds himself in an incomprehensible room. There is a noise behind him, and he decides to turn around. There, behind the screen, he sees the lady and quickly rejoices at such a quick reward. Realizing that this is a post-apocalyptic world, Hao decides to complete the joy because there are a lot of zombies here, and we shouldn't forget about it. Using his ability, he decides to see what is hidden behind the screen. There really is a girl there, but he knows he has to be careful in this world. Breathing a sigh of relief, Hao begins to think that perhaps this is what the zombies here look like. The screen began to move apart, and the guy watched in surprise who was coming out. Suddenly, shots rang out, aimed directly at the traveler, who was not expecting anything. A few seconds after the shootout, a mysterious lady came out from behind the screen, holding a giant knife. Seeing her, the surprised Hao did not know what to do. Without thinking twice, the angry girl began to attack the hero, although she tried to do it with a knife. Many blows fell on the newly arrived guy, but he easily dodged each of them because he was an experienced fighter. Thanks to his agility, the guy was able to stop the lady's attack by snatching the knife from her. Having stopped her, the guy decided to pacify the insolent lady by bending over her. Confused, the unknown woman began to scream, trying to find out where such a pervert came from, since she really liked her towel. Smiling, the guy just said that he didn't do it on purpose, he just liked her towel. This angered the touchy girl even more, and she again tried to attack the hero. Fortunately, with the help of his strong arms, the guy again easily stopped the lady's attack. Breaking free from her hands, the restless girl began to fight, using her legs. The smart guy decided to take advantage of the moment by grabbing the attacker's leg. Calling the belligerent lady a beauty, he asked if she really wanted to kill him, or if she would prefer to hug. While the girl herself could not understand how he appeared in this zombie apocalypse, because she survived thanks to her strength from the very beginning. In desperation, the militant girl screamed that she would not be able to defeat him, and she was very unlucky, but she was not going to give up. They flock very quickly to the smell of blood, and they will be close very soon. Surprised, Hao Lanjin decided to ask how she was going to release the blood. The mysterious girl's hands continued to tremble, and she could not move, neither her arms nor her legs, but she still tried to resist. With her mouth open, the lady began to bite the scoundrel who swung at her. Having made several merciless bites, she soon lost her strength. Falling to the floor, she admitted that the long hunger had drained her strength, but next time, she would probably be able to defeat it. Having fallen, she explained that she had not eaten for a long time, so her strength had left her, and in the future, the lady promised to cope with him. Hearing this, Hao Lanjin realized that he usually does not use force with women, and they themselves approach him. Annoyed, the girl warned that no one in this world could be trusted, especially perverts like him. At this moment, Hao remembered the supplies that the goddess of the system had provided him. Taking canned food from his backpack, he kindly offered it to the hungry lady, amazed by his kindness. The lady, in turn, wondered if he was the god of canned food. Canned food was a valuable commodity in their world, and she doubted the stranger's kindness, wondering what he wanted from them. After opening the canned food, Hao decided to try it, realizing that this was a precious dinner, and he planned to cook it over the fire, washed with clean water, high-quality meat, fried in oil, a dinner that could shock everyone. With tears in her eyes, the lady listened to him and swallowed her saliva because she was so hungry. The lady, looking graciously at the stranger, was aware of her hunger. The smell of the canned food was truly divine. Perhaps the stranger thought he was the god of canned food. Taking the canned food in her hands, she decided that it was better to die from poison than from starvation. Trying the canned food, she was amazed by the taste, and since the guy did not harm her, she did not think that he had bad intentions. With her back turned away from the hero, she could eat an entire can of canned food in just a few seconds. Then, sighing, she turned around and asked if he had any more canned food. With a pitiful expression on her face, the lady asked if he had any more canned food. Smart Hao Lanjin found out the girl's name, and her name was Yeki Xiaoli. And she actually still had canned food, but before she would provide it, she set the condition that she needed to answer a few questions. Expecting some ulterior motive, Yeki Xiaoli was indignant and asked not to think that she was ready to do anything because of canned food. Sometime later, events unfolded late at night. After talking with Yeki Xiaoli, the guy realized that they were in the south of the state of Hua, in the city of Quanzhou. The virus began to spread 3 years ago, and most of the survivors have gathered at this point. But there are others nearby, as a horde of zombies has gathered at the northern gate of the city, and Yeki Xiaoli gave Hao a map of the city to make his movement easier. Accepting the card, Hao thanked the lady for the exchange and declared that it was time for him to leave. Before throwing himself out of the window, he did not miss the opportunity to note that the girl really had an excellent figure. Embarrassed, she called him a pervert again. At the same time, she thought that this guy suddenly appeared next to her bathroom, bringing such precious food. After thinking a little, Yeki Xiaoli decided that she didn't really want to do this, but maybe she could get even more food by going with him. Chasing the stranger, the lady continued to follow him. Feeling this, the hero immediately realized that the glutton was watching him from behind. It didn't matter to him because she wasn't bad, so let her follow him. The goddess of the system previously said that killing zombies can give you good rewards. Not knowing what kind of rewards we were talking about, the guy decided to kill a couple of zombies to find out. Suddenly, not noticing the tin can in front of him, he accidentally hit it. The sound of a tin can immediately attracted everyone's attention. Zombies nearby heard the sound. They felt that there was something living next to them. In anticipation of the person, the zombies were preparing for the attack, hiding. Walking through the deserted outskirts of the city, Hao thought about where all the zombies were hiding and could not understand whether he was really completely invisible to them. Suddenly, the window in the nearby building he was passing through shattered, and angry zombies burst out. Seeing them, the hero grinned, realizing that this was his first goal. Having evaded the attack of the living dead, the guy thought about how best to deal with him. After retreating a few meters, he continued to strategize to attack the zombies. Thinking about the circumstances, the guy realized that the zombie was attracted by the noise of the tin can. This meant that zombies were sensitive to sounds. The dirty and terrifying zombie continued to move towards its victim. He launched attacks, trying to eat the person in front of him. Dodging the blows, Hao thought that zombies have good speed, and even a small scratch can become just as ugly. That is why he should have cut off the claws of this impudent zombie using the blade provided by the goddess of the system. A moment later, the zombie had neither the claws nor the hands with which it attacked. Calling him trash, the hero invited the zombies to repeat their pathetic tricks. And so, something strange began to happen to the dead man. The hands and claws of the living dead were restored in a matter of seconds. Running away from an enhanced zombie, Hao Lanjin shouted that this was not fair and that he could not restore his limbs. A powerful zombie made a new attack and was preparing to hit the guy from behind. Without hesitation, the hero decided to cut off his hand. Grinning wickedly, the living dead regained his arms. And this happened every time the guy deprived the zombie of his hands. The zombies, in turn, easily restored their limbs. This process continued indefinitely as the zombies could constantly regenerate. Ultimately, both were tired and could not continue the battle. Looking at each other, the fight continued anyway. Hao Lanjin realized that this could not continue. If the enemy was able to restore limbs, it was necessary to change tactics. Thus, he decides to discard his blade in order to use other methods to fight the sassy zombie. He chooses one of the strikes that could shake the heavens. And he begins to make this blow with full force in order to crush the evil zombie. Seeing this, the zombie immediately understands that he cannot remain inactive. He begins to try to block the hero's attack. The blow is aimed directly at the blocking undead, and the light spreads across the entire surface of his body. The force of the blow destroys everything in its path, including the zombies hit by the hero. The power of the blow sends the enemy flying several meters to the side. Having fallen to the ground, the zombie is no longer able to continue the fight. The experience of a computer game player shows itself again, and the only weak point of zombies is their head. After killing a zombie, a lot of gold coins begin to appear from it. With pleasure, the guy realizes that in this way he can earn gold coins. And this becomes the surprise that the goddess of the system spoke about. The coin picked up suddenly begins to dissolve, just like the hero himself. At the same time, he reappears in the system world, and the system goddess congratulates the owner for killing the first zombie. For killing one zombie, 1 million coins were received, and with this balance, you can start investing in improving your skills. In anticipation of Hao's success, Lanjin realized that his method of targeting the zombie's head was correct. And besides, getting so many coins for killing one zombie was incredible, and he could soon become rich. For the first bucket of gold, one of the branches of development of the magical eye was opened. To upgrade to the Eye of Martial Spirit, he will need another 10 million gold, and the money is not enough yet. This answer really stunned the guy, and he did not expect that such a huge amount would be required to upgrade his first skill. The Golden Eye skill is X-ray, and the next skill, the Eye of Martial Spirit, is hidden for now, and he needs to earn even more money to open it. The eye gates were also activated. This gate allows the owner to return to his world. Having learned this, Hao Lanjin wanted to know how much it would cost. According to the goddess, it is not that expensive, and for each transition you only need 100 million gold coins, and he will be in his world for no more than 24 hours. Fops. Sighing heavily, the guy realized what fate awaited him. In response, the lady asked him not to lose heart and continue to work, and after that she wanted to give final instructions. Only objects can be preserved in space, but living beings cannot. The gold he receives is visible only to himself. Touch the gold, it is forbidden. The gold itself automatically replenishes the system account. When the host enters system space, time in the world stops, so there is no need to worry about being discovered or harmed. The goddess of the system emphasized that these warnings can be used at any time, and not to forget to contact the lady, and wishing him good luck, she teleported him back to the world of the apocalypse. At the same time, the guy realized that luck would not help him, since he would have to earn a huge amount of money to open these eye gates. Warming up a bit, Hao Lanren was preparing to earn gold and continue fighting zombies. At this time, a girl was closely watching him. Eki Shaoli thought about how the stranger easily destroyed the zombies with one blow and what amazing power he possessed. She found it strange that such a gifted man with endless resources would choose to go to this apocalyptic world, and she was curious what other items he had. Continuing her observation, she decided to move on, following the stranger. Jumping down to the area where the guy had just passed, she continued to follow him. She had to unravel the secrets of this mysterious stranger, and she had to find out who he was. The events took place in a gloomy city inhabited by vile and aggressive zombies. At this time, Hao eliminated new zombies that came his way. His balance had already reached 5 million, but to get to 100 million, he still had to continue to fight. Suddenly, the guy felt a suffocating smell in the air. The smell was so intense that the hero almost lost consciousness. After fainting, he discovered a note, and it belonged to a girl who was hiding near an amusement park full of zombies, and the girl begged him for help. Realizing that this information could be useful, the hero decides to go to where, apparently, the most zombies are located. A few minutes later, the events move to an amusement park. As he passed by the next attraction, the brave man actively looked for zombies lurking around. Near the next attraction, he notices something interesting. A girl appears before him, who probably wrote that very note, and she cries and begs for help. Out of joy that a stranger came to her aid, the girl calls him to her. Tears flow down the girl's face. She feels fear, standing in front of two terrible zombies ready to attack her. Standing in her way are two terrible zombies, ready to tear her apart. One of the zombies was dressed in a scary clown costume and was preparing to attack. The girl, not knowing what to do, continued to cry and scream for help. Suddenly, a nasty and dirty zombie hand reached out to her. Meanwhile, the brave hero threw something at the zombie to defeat him with his power. The girl, in tears, was amazed that her savior had come to the rescue. The vile zombie suffered greatly, and he lost one limb under the hero's forceful blow. Smiling, the guy noticed that they had all turned into zombies, but continued to chase the girls. Previously, Hao Lanjin fought with clowns during his lifetime, and now they have become zombie scum. In the eyes of the zombie clown, one could see aggression, which only intensified. Hearing the insults addressed to them, many zombies began to react to them. Several dead men headed towards the hero, ready to attack. The guy directed them with a movement of his hand to attack. With one blow, a magical beam was created that pierced the head of the vile zombie. The hero took out his magic blade, preparing to inflict damage on the dead. The zombies did not stop trying to attack a living person. The main zombie clown decided to attack the hero, but he was able to cut off his head with a blow of his blade, for which he received 1,000,000 gold coins. Many disgusting creatures continued their attack, but the hero remained steadfast, fighting the dead. Using his knife, he struck again, stabbing the dagger straight at one of the enemies. Unfortunately, the dagger flew past, only slightly hitting the enemy creature. The battle continued. Hao, with unflagging courage, confronted the crowd of maddened people. With his agility, he easily avoided any attacks and at the same time responsibly counterattacked. Inflicting many wounds, the zombies died in a matter of seconds, losing the ability to regenerate. Without a shadow of a doubt, the guy continued the fight, eliminating a huge number of opponents. At this time, the number of gold coins in his account steadily increased. With every second, he became richer. Realizing that the enemies had finally retreated, the guy breathed a sigh of relief. All this time, an unfamiliar girl was watching him, amazed that the guy could cope with so many zombies alone. Having gathered her thoughts, the stranger approached the main character and admitted that she really liked him because he was incredibly strong. She stood motionless for 10 seconds, waiting for an answer. After 20 seconds, there was no response either. Not understanding what was happening, the stranger did not know for a long time whether the guy would stand and not answer her. And suddenly she noticed that the hero took one of the zombies and began rummaging through his pants. The stunned girl could not understand what was happening and why the mysterious guy was doing this. At the same time, the hero did not understand why the zombie was empty, because gold rained down from other zombies. He began shaking the zombie's lifeless body, hoping that coins would fall out. After this, the unknown girl saw something terrible that she never expected. The main character's tastes were clearly specific, and he used any means to extract gold coins from the zombies. Oddly enough, after an unusual method of extracting coins, they began to fall off the zombie's body. The guy was really happy about this, because this situation was pleasant and profitable at the same time. The girl began to feel afraid of such a guy who was not only strong, but also capable of extracting gold from zombies in such an unusual way, so she decided to run away. Strange, but the hero instantly identified the girl's location. Then the lady realized that she would not be able to leave, because it was rare to meet such a man here. Regardless of his character, she decided to try to seduce him. After a few seconds, having calmed down, she came out, was full of joy, and told her brother that if it weren't for him, she would have died here. When completing the next zombie, the hero simply responded, "Okay." Unsatisfied with this answer, the unknown girl continued the conversation, saying that her name is Chuchu Sonomi, and she was looking for food, getting caught by zombies and forced to run for a long time, which makes it difficult for her to move. While talking with the guy, she expressed admiration for his strength and asked to take her back, promising gratitude. Hearing about the gratitude, he immediately decided to help. Turning to the lady, he asked what kind of gratitude we were talking about and whether she had gold. The mysterious girl blushed, asking her brother not to joke, claiming that no one in this world possessed this nonsense. What the girl had was unmissable, neither to eat nor to drink, and it was something interesting. She was sure that the hero would like it. Upset, Hao Lanjin turned and said that she could thank him next time, but he had things to do now. The girl made an effort to hold him, not wanting him to refuse her offer. She insisted that her brother should guide her through. Realizing that the girl would not refuse, he turned to her and asked what would happen if his answer was no. This question stunned the girl, and she did not know what to say, because even her unsurpassed beauty could not help in this situation. Gathering all her will into a fist, she replied that she would take all possible steps to convince the savior to agree. And suddenly, Ichuchu Sonomi began clapping her hands. Not understanding what was happening, the guy was confused and expected the worst. Girls began to appear from all corners, approaching Hao Lanzhenu. They literally surrounded him, and there were 4 of them in total. The mysterious unknown ladies were delighted that Chuchu Sonomi found such an attractive young man. For them, the stranger was a real diamond, because such men are so rarely seen in the wasteland. The girls around him considered him incredibly handsome and the man they had been waiting for so long. Confused, the hero continued to look at the surrounding girls, as if he wanted to tell them something. Then he looked lovingly at each of them and said that they appeared as if on schedule. One of the girls who came was interested in whether the handsome man knew how to talk to girls. Chuchu Sonomi, fearing resentment, immediately told Sister Hong Ying that this guy saved her and should not be touched. But she liked this behavior, and the hero even begged her to continue. The girl was amazed by this behavior, wondering why he was so pleased with so much attention, because he seemed to her to be a man with a non-traditional orientation. Then she remembered a phrase from the film, that in this world any girl can take control of a man, and if he refuses, then more girls are needed. Taking the blushing and embarrassed Hao touching Lanjin's cheeks, the girls wanted to know if he would go with them, because the sisters really liked the guy. If he goes, then all the girls will be his. They also had plenty of food and drink, so they tried to attract him. At that moment, the hero decided to ask why so many beauties needed him, but he still agreed to go with them. The ladies watched him closely and called him a fool. While everyone thought this fool would be easy to succumb, he was too strong, and they needed to deal with him when he was distracted. And the sisters decided that he would learn their strength. They all began to pull out weapons hidden in various places under their clothes. Each of the girls tried to get a weapon in order to carry out an attack as a group. Suddenly, the ladies discovered that their weapons had disappeared from their hiding places. The girls were very surprised by the unexpected development of events and were shocked that their weapons had disappeared somewhere unknown by someone. Passing by the dangerous ladies, the stranger said that the search was pointless. After all their weapons were right there with him. The stunned fighters could not foresee such a turn of events and realized that this guy was clearly faking the situation. It turned out that Hao Lanjin figured out their plan a long time ago. Just 10 minutes ago, something interesting happened. When he first arrived, he immediately felt that something was wrong. Despite being surrounded by zombies, the girl did not look scared. Therefore, the guy decided to look at her through the magic eye. And for good reason, because thanks to this ability, he was able to find a tranquilizer in her pocket. Although the tranquilizer does not work on zombies, the guy knew exactly who it would be effective against. But going out as bait was too dangerous. Therefore, Hao immediately guessed that her partners were nearby. Several of them were hiding nearby. They had weapons in their hands, and neither girl looked weak. This meant that everything that was happening was a trap, but Hao wanted to understand why they needed the man. The hero also realized that he always set up such ambushes, and now that the girls tried to catch him, he was going to punish them. To do this, the guy used the technique of a businessman from his past world. After collecting all their weapons, he wanted to see what they would do without him. Realizing that the girls were no longer able to resist, the guy began to demand that they show everything they had. Otherwise, they won't get a second chance. The angry ladies realized that this guy had revealed their plan, and without weapons, they became powerless. Despite the revelation of their plan, the girls were determined not to back down, and they are confident that no man has yet been able to escape them. Immediately after this, the ladies' sisters attacked him, starting the fight. Before entering the fight, Hao apologized and prepared to fight. The angry girls wanted him to go with them in a peaceful manner, refraining from fighting. While the hero easily resisted the girls' attacks, they continued to attack. Catching the fist of one of them, he dodged the blow and tripped her, causing her to fall. To completely neutralize her, he used a tranquilizer, rendering her powerless. Despite what had happened to the previous girl, the attack continued, and the other lady attacked. Jumping up and kicking the guy in the head, she was forced to retreat due to the rope wrapped around her leg. The clever hero continued to use the rope, rendering her powerless and unable to stand. Despite the girls already being overwhelmed, the other two decided to join forces and attack together. The smart guy dodged their attacks and handcuffed their hands in time. The ladies were outraged that a man could resist them in a fight. Using a rope, the hero spun them around until they found it difficult to stay on their feet. Despite the girls already being defeated, the other two decided to continue the attack together. They approached the hero from behind to use the effect of surprise and hit him together. The dexterous and smart guy easily dodged the joint attack of two girls. At an opportune moment, Hao was able to secure their hands with handcuffs. He then held a knife to one of the girls and ordered her not to move. The excited ladies were confused at that moment, but did not lose hope of winning this fight. Avoiding further fights, the guy easily neutralized one of the girls, and she lost consciousness. At this time, someone was watching the guy through an optical sight. The observer wondered whether men were capable of resisting such beauties. It was Eki Xiaoli who didn't think that this guy wouldn't fall for the fighting girl's tricks when he appeared in her bathtub, turned out to be wrong. Now the fighting girls were completely immobilized and could not continue the battle. It seemed strange to the guy that all the living beings he met in this world turned out to be women. It turned out that they were all members of the Black Lily gang, and Hao deserved to be punished for his tricks. Hearing this, the guy realized that these girls were apparently not from the Black Lily gang, since they were more like the Black Hearts gang. Without ceremony with the beautiful girls, he asked them to answer one question, otherwise they risked becoming food for zombies. From their clothes, one could understand that not only Chuchu Sonomi acts as a bait for men. In addition, despite the words that not a single man escaped from them, the hero was surprised that he did not meet a single man all day and fell into their trap. Chuchu Sonomi immediately exclaimed, surprised that the guy did not know that men had become very valuable animals. This answer truly amazed the guy, because he did not expect that men had become such valuable animals. When the epidemic began, something strange happened. The first to become infected were men after drinking that same soda. Under the same conditions, the first signs of the disease also appeared in men. Research showed that the zombie virus developed and spread faster in men than in women, and so the news warned men to be careful. and soon 60% of men in China were seeking help, with the number decreasing every day. Due to the increased risk of infection, men were pushed to the brink of extinction, and the surviving tribes were made up of women, and those men that remained became a very valuable resource. Men were brought in not only for help, but also for entertainment. The precious men found could do heavy physical work and lift more weight than the girls. Later, men turned into slaves and laborers. Their numbers gradually decreased. They were ordered to work or go into the bedroom with the girls. Poor men could not withstand such pressure and agreed to work. For this they were punished. The girls beat them if they did not comply with the requirements. Hao Lanjin realized that the situation here was much worse than he had imagined, and due to the danger of infection and lack of food, even women were becoming aggressive. And despite his strength, it would be difficult for him to survive alone, let alone save the world. Then he came up with the idea to rebuild the society of this world by creating an army of beauties, taking into account the large number of women. Suddenly, there was a loud noise from one of the cars. Using his X-ray vision abilities, the hero decided to see what was behind the car. It turned out that many zombies were running out from there, probably attracted by the previous battle. This was favorable for the guy because he needed money. In just seconds, all the zombies were destroyed when the hero pulled out his blade and cut off their heads. Meanwhile, zombies were approaching the lady from the other side, getting closer. The girls began to cry with excitement and tried to hide so as not to fall into the clutches of the zombies. The dead craved flesh and were drawn to girls. It turned out that the sisters were not as close as they seemed, and if one became infected, the other wanted no part of it. Chuchu Sonomi began to free herself from the handcuffs that bound her to Hong Ying. She pulled it off amazingly and threw her friend into a room full of zombies that surrounded her. Chuchu, having got out of the room, turned to the guy and declared that she would take revenge. Grinning, the hero only replied that she could always contact him. Suddenly, another zombie attacked him from behind, but the hero easily cut off its head, saving his life. The zombies continued to advance, not paying attention to their already dead brothers. The guy was happy that by destroying zombies, he could earn a lot of money. With every second, money was added to his account, and he enjoyed this pleasant feeling. The girl watched him all this time, not understanding what was happening. She wondered why the guy was so happy, because he was not seduced by girls, but he was enthusiastically destroying zombies. And then the thought occurred to her whether he really liked not girls more, but these disgusting zombies, devouring everything in their path. The zombies were rapidly advancing, and the guy was waiting for this moment to destroy them and earn even more coins. The zombies' fate was sealed, and he watched with satisfaction as they approached. The approaching zombies were his target for another successful strike and profit. Looking at his watch, the guy realized that it was time to finish for the day, and his stinking bags turned out to be precious, and he did not want to lose them. Today's work had been a success, but continuing the killing could lead to even more zombies, and he doubted he could handle such masses. At the moment of attack by one of the approaching zombies, the guy summoned his blade. With ease, he decapitated another zombie, taking its life. Hao Lanjin remained unmoved, giving the impression that he could not be destroyed. The lady again could not believe her eyes, watching this unusual battle. After all, the guy got incredibly tasty meatballs. Eki Shaoli began to salivate when she saw those canned meatballs. Meatballs became her patron of true pleasure, and she really craved them. As it turned out, the hero noticed that the girl was watching him and asked her if she liked the battle, and he added that if he had died here, she would not have gotten the canned food. In response, the girl shouted for him to wait for her, as she was already going down. Having descended from the Ferris wheel, Eki quickly headed towards the hero on her motorcycle. Smoke from her wheels spread across the street as she hurried to get to the canned goods as quickly as possible. On her fast motorcycle, she jumped up several tens of meters, flying over a crowd of zombies rushing towards her. Landing spectacularly, Lady pushed aside the zombies to get to the food. The zombies continued to approach, and the lady ordered the hero to jump on the motorcycle as their lives were in danger. She also warned the guy to hold onto the can tightly because if he dropped it, he would be punished. With a smile, the guy got on the motorcycle and asked the lady to speed up. Squeezing the gas pedal to the metal, Lady and her companion began their journey, and the rear wheel of the motorcycle began to slip. It is obvious that Eki Shaoli knew how to control the motorcycle, pushing aside the zombies and continuing on her way. At that time, the guy asked the zombies not to distract him from a wonderful evening with the beauty. Hearing this, Lady was embarrassed and called him a pervert, not expecting such a proposal. Continuing to accelerate, she asked the guy to hold on tight, as there was a risk that he would fall out. However, he was already holding on as tightly as possible. In response to her remark, the lady hit him on the head several times and said that she would not have wasted fuel on the man if he had no food. The guy held on to everything he could so as not to drop the can. The lady noticed his attempts and hit him several times, expressing her frustration. Maintaining her anger, she continued on her way with the hero. Events developed until late evening in Eka's house, Shaoli. They were safe, sitting together in the house and discussing everything around them. It turned out to be the girl's second base. When the epidemic began, the wealthy area immediately went into decline, and so she chose this estate, adapting it to her needs. Taking a closer look at the motorcycle, the guy asked where in a world with such a shortage of resources she got fuel. It turned out that it was a gift from my father before the outbreak of the epidemic. Yeki planned to ride this motorcycle to the center of the Hua state to find her parents, but due to the many zombies at the north gate of Quanzhou, she was unable to get out. She had to save fuel. She even collected it as much as possible. Still, she still had hope of getting out, although she did not know whether her parents were alive. Understanding the girl's difficult situation, the guy decided to help. He handed her an apple, offering her a snack, because only with a full stomach can she maintain strength. The girl immediately grabbed the apple that he gave her. It was incredibly delicious. It turned out that the girl had not eaten an apple for a long time. The last time was 2 years ago, and then it turned out to be rotten. Having thought about what to do next, the guy realized with admiration that it was worth learning more about this world. Hao Lanjin wanted to clarify with the beauty why she was following him. He thought that perhaps she was in love with him. However, everything was not like that, and she was not interested in him because she did not care about love, but about the food that he had. If he died, she wouldn't be able to take food from his corpse. She also wanted to know who he was, where he got his food from, and how he got it. Despite the second meeting, the hero never revealed his secrets, and the lady continued to remain a mystery to him. The girl's indignant response caused her to reproach the scoundrel, since he had already introduced himself to her earlier. Before the onset of the apocalypse, she was a member of the national fencing team and repeatedly became a medalist, possessing excellent skill with edged weapons, and these 2 years of active practice only improved her skills. She added that, of course, she could not compare with Master Hao, since he was truly powerful. This information amazed the guy, who did not expect that the girl was a member of the national fencing team. Now it became clear where she got such strength from, and that she was definitely not a weakling who survived the zombie apocalypse. Then it dawned on the hero, because he had a great idea. The guy decided to create his own society, but there weren't enough men, and yet with such a smart and strong girl, the team would be invincible in front of any male army. Convinced of a good idea, the hero decided to create his own female apocalypse squad. Blushing a little, he had other thoughts about what he could do with the girls in his squad. The lady clearly did not like such thoughts, and she immediately realized that something was wrong here and asked him to tell him. Faced with such a question, the guy decided that he could not tell her about his transition from another world. So he introduced himself as Hao Lunjin, Wushu Master. Regarding the food, he said that it was in his pants, and the lady could find it herself. This answer again did not satisfy the girl, and she forcefully threw the first object that came to her hand at the hero. With a bruise on his cheek, the guy asked her to get down to business and asked if Eki wanted Xiaoli conclude an agreement with him. Not expecting such a question, the lady immediately asked what kind of agreement it was. The guy needed to hunt zombies, and she, as he realized, was familiar with this territory. And then he invited the girl to become his guide, and this again amazed her, since she considered the guy a pervert because he wanted to hunt zombies. But hearing that he was ready to pay her with her favorite food, Eki Xiaoli agreed without hesitation. There were doubts in her head, because it was difficult for her to understand why he would kill zombies. But after weighing all the pros and cons, this offer was profitable, and her hunger would not leave her either. So they decided to make a deal, and the girl extended her hand. This really made the hero happy because he was hoping for help from such a good-natured lady. Extending their hands, they crossed their fists to seal the deal. At the time, the guy realized that she had become the first female member of the Apocalypse Squad. Eki Xiaoli also mentioned that when the girls from the Black Lily gang seduced him, she thought that he would fall for their tricks. And fortunately, the guy turned out to be a gentleman and did not fall for the cheap trap. At that moment, he wanted to say that there is not only one woman in this world. Suddenly, the door began to slowly open. Hearing this, the hero instantly turned his head to see what was happening there. What he saw really made him happy and amazed. Another girl appeared there, asking her sister if she had returned. Noticing a stranger in the room, the girl immediately covered herself with a shirt. Because the guy was peeking, he received several more blows to the head, and now he had even more bumps. Eka was indignant and decided to help her little sister change clothes, ordering the guy not to dare peek, otherwise he would probably get it. The door closed, and the guy watched her closely. At that time, thinking that the girls were really bullying him, little Oney came in on her own, and even if he wanted to, he couldn't ignore her. Turning his head, the guy saw another interesting thing. In the room, namely in the closet, there were many amazing and varied jewelry. The former owner of the mansion was indeed rich, but when the apocalypse began, he fled in a hurry and forgot about his valuables. Having picked up one of the golden objects, it immediately began to evaporate right in his hand. It turned out that personal items can be exchanged for 10,000 coins, and it doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's made of gold. Just one touch is enough, and the balance will be replenished. Having learned about the possibility of earning money in this way, the guy was delighted and decided to find even more gold, because soon he would have a chance to return to his world. So he began to look around the entire room in search of the former owner's gold. In search of hidden gold, the guy examined every corner of the apartment. Suddenly, the door opened behind him, and his little sister came out. It was Eki Xiaoli, who came with her little sister to find out what Hao was doing in this room. Realizing that he was doing something suspicious, the hero began to make excuses, saying that he saw dirt and decided to get out. But all this happened at night, and the girl could not believe his words. Everything was this way because the hero was a real gentleman, and with him they had to live happily ever after. He guaranteed it. The sisters were truly shocked by what was happening. As it turned out, my sister's name was Eki Xiaomei, and she was Yeki's twin Xiaoli. She apologized for what happened because they rarely had visitors, and she didn't expect to see anyone. Overcoming awkwardness, the hero also said that it was nothing to worry about. Meanwhile, Eki Xiaoli didn't understand why little sister was apologizing, because he should ask for forgiveness, and yet Eki Xiaomei considered the hero an important guest because he shared food. It was true, and Xiaoli was already dreaming about the goodies that the guy had in his pants. This time they forgave him, but next time he will feel bad. For the hero, this couple seemed like a demon and an angel because of their completely different characters. The little sister decided to find out the hero's name and how they met her sister. And then the guy wanted to tell him that they met in the shower. The lady did not approve of this and immediately closed the mouth of the unintelligible guy. The little sister said that she met him when she was saving him from the Black Lily gang. That's how they met, as simple as that. The girl was dumbfounded, realizing that she could not allow her little sister to find out that this man had been spying on her in her shower. However, Eki Xiaomei still asked about the shower after hearing the guy start talking about it. Fearing the girl's possible reaction, they said that she only heard it. After all, if a guy offends her sister, he may pay for it. Guy, Hao Lenjun realized that, despite Yeka's outward tenderness, Xiaoli, it's not that simple if she finds out the truth. Suddenly, twins started cough. My sister immediately clarified how she felt. After examining the girl, the hero concluded that she had bandages on her body, pale skin color, cough, and chest pain, and it was necessary to find out what was wrong with Xiaomei. Using his X-ray vision, the hero decided to figure out what was really going on. It turned out that the girl was seriously infected, and the world in the apocalypse was very polluted, and bacteria and viruses were everywhere, and one scratch was enough for a person to die from the disease. Then the guy decided to find out how Xiaomei received these wounds. It all happened because of the girls from the Black Lily gang. A couple of weeks ago, he and his sister were looking for food in a cold storage warehouse. They were lucky and found a lot of food, but their happiness was short-lived. Several people entered the cold storage facility. They were joined by a band of black lilies, heavily armed and in greater numbers, and were known to take food from other survivors. When they discovered a large supply of food, they were not going to give it away so easily. Thus began the fight against the Black Lily gang. Unfortunately, there were some casualties, and the girls received several injuries, despite Veli's valiant battle, where he had to repel the attacks of numerous opponents. The brave ladies fought alongside the outnumbered girls from the Black Lily gang. The sister stood out as a sharp shooter, hitting the bullseye hundreds of meters away, and together they made an excellent team and quickly overcame their enemies. Even when their opponents begged for mercy, the sisters decided to spare them. But when the girls decided to have mercy, something terrible happened. One of the surviving girls decided to carry out an attack. She threw her remaining blade. Unfortunately, the blade reached its target, and one of the sisters was seriously injured. Suddenly, the goat attacked, and the sister defended Eki Xiaoli from the blow of the dagger. The sister was seriously wounded, and although the girl sought revenge, their battle attracted many zombies. They immediately decided to run away to survive. Despite escaping, the sister's wound was too deep and infection began. Xiaoli scoured all the pharmacy shelves in search of penicillin to stop the infection. But a cure was never found, and the sister's condition only worsened. She couldn't sleep every day, and maybe soon she wouldn't be able to hold on anymore. Xiaoli, crying, begged Hao, knowing that he had a way to get a lot of food, and asked him to help her get medicine. Meanwhile, Hao realized that Xiaoli is a strong girl, and with Xiaomei's shooting skills, his army will become even stronger, and the Lanjin female squad has been replenished with another fighter, and now he is obliged to save the member of his squad. But he was still unclear on how to obtain the medicine, and he hoped that he would find what he needed in his world, although he did not have enough gold. Still, the guy had a brilliant idea, and he asked the sisters to find as much gold for him as possible. While the girls could not understand why he needed gold, because in this world it seemed superfluous. Remains in his position, the hero continued to claim that he needed gold, and he assured that as soon as they found it, he would immediately get the medicine. And why he needed this medicine remained a mystery, but the girls had to believe him, and collect the gold, promising that if the sisters help him, he will immediately find a cure and bring food that does not exist in this world. The prospect of obtaining food that does not exist in this world intrigued Eki Xiaoli, and she was ready to do anything to get it. While Eki Xiaomei thought that the guy might even be ready to share food, she also realized that in the world of the apocalypse, everyone has their own secrets, and if he can help them survive, then there is no point in solving his mysteries. The good sisters agreed and were ready for the conditions offered by the savior. Xiaomei knew that in the west of the city there was a casino, the first in Quanzhou, which usually used gold instead of chips, and she was sure that the largest reserve of gold was located there. In addition, this casino had a huge nest of zombies that lived there. Hearing about this, the guy instantly realized that the zombie nest was a golden opportunity, and he could destroy all the zombies in the nest and probably return home soon. Asking the girls not to be afraid, the hero announced that they would go there, and he would deal with the zombies himself. Soon after, the hero began to take something out of his pocket. This was the meal he was going to give the girls so they could rest and eat in the evening and then go to the casino in the morning. After thinking for a moment, the girls considered their answer. But seeing so much food, the sisters easily agreed. It was dark outside the boarded-up windows. The sick sister was tormented by a fever, and she sweated heavily in her sleep. It seemed that something was bothering her, and her sleep was extremely restless. Meanwhile, the hero stood on the balcony and thought. He looked into the distance and thought that he did not know what happened to his company. He also realized that it was time to go back and find out all the details, and someone had taken advantage of Jiro to kill him, and he decided to find out who and why. Keeping a close eye on the guy, Eki Xiaoli immediately noticed that he had something on his mind. During this entire period, the girl was looking for a cure for her sister, and she encountered a group of girls from Black Lily, which forced her to carefully avoid contact with them so as not to attract zombies. Thankfully, Hiro not turned out to be near. Even if he broke into her bath while she was not dressed, Eki Xiaoli still felt safe in his presence. Suddenly, strange sounds were heard near the house. The lady and the guy immediately felt that something was wrong. Realizing the need to look around, the hero instantly used his abilities. Silhouettes were visible next to them, slowly approaching. It turned out that this was a detachment of girls from Black Lily, armed and ready to attack. Seeing the zombies, the gang leader ordered everyone to stay put. Using machine guns, they easily eliminated the zombies that were nearby. The leader used a pistol with a silencer to avoid unnecessary noise and not attract other zombies. Then she ordered the girls to move in 2 columns. One detachment headed to the left of the house. The other moved to the right to completely surround the house. At this time, Hao Lanren could not understand why the entire Black Lily squad came here, seemingly to take revenge on him. Worried, Xiaoli immediately began to wake up her sister. Rising alarmed, the sister heard her scream and began to prepare her weapon. At that moment, they were about to leave with Hao Lanjunum. There were an incredible number of girls in the gang, all armed to the teeth, and the hero realized that leaving was a reasonable decision. But he also understood that Eki Xiaoli and her injured sister will not be able to survive without his help. Then he remembered that he had saved up a lot of money and could buy something in the system store. As soon as this thought occurred to him, the guy immediately teleported away. And again, he found himself in the world of the system, where he was met by the goddess of the system. Alarmed, the guy said that, as far as he understood, 10 million were needed to improve the magical eye, and he wanted to find out if there was enough money in his account for this. The owner's current balance was 31,010,000 coins, and he could improve the magic eye. Exclaiming joyfully, the hero ordered the goddess to immediately carry out the improvement. The magic eye has successfully upgraded into the Eye of Martial Spirit. The eyes immediately began to change, and the guy instantly felt it. The color of the eyes changed to blue, and they became cross-shaped. The goddess congratulated her master. The improvement of the magical eye was successful, and the abilities of the martial spirit eye were stored in his memory. The power of the eye of martial spirit immediately affected the hero's body, and he felt how much stronger he had become. The system offered him the most favorable offers, and although 10 million coins were spent on improving the magic eye, the current balance was 21,010,000 coins. The next level of the magical eye was the Eye of Scarlet Flame, which required 20 million coins to improve, and the goddess decided to find out if the owner wanted to continue. It was too expensive for the guy for now, and he decided that the system was mocking him, and if he improved, he might never return home, so he put it off until later. Thanking the goddess, the hero replied that perhaps he would improve the ability later. After improving the magical eye, a new skill was opened, the miraculous eye lottery. A huge lottery appeared in front of him, where he could receive any of the rewards. Miraculous Eye Lottery is a skill that allows you to get a random reward for 2 million coins, and the hero could also get equipment, skills, or weapons. Among the awards were the 7 Stars Pain Point, Anti-Zombie Poison Antivirus, and the Ganjian God's Sword. This huge number of good awards really made the guy happy. So he decided to play the lottery, spending 2 million. The lottery mechanism immediately started working after spending the funds. The Wheel of Fortune began to spin, and some reward was expected to appear. And then, after a moment, the wheel stopped. It turned out that the hero received a rather insignificant reward. For 2 million coins, he got a roll of napkins, and he decided that it was some kind of deception. Then the guy decided to play again, spending the next 2 million. The roulette began to spin again, and the hero expected his winnings. This time he received some kind of bottle. Not understanding what this item was, the unfortunate hero was disappointed, since he did not see any benefit in what he received. He decided not to believe that such low-quality rewards would continue to come, and decided to try again. The roulette wheel began to spin again, and the hero hoped for a better result. And suddenly he again received a useless reward in the form of a bikini. And although the model was not bad, it was clearly not useful to the hero. Then the guy got an idea. He began to laugh deviously, anticipating what was to come. Meanwhile, the sisters were knocking on Hao's door Lanjana, shouting for him to come out, since the Black Lily gang is over there. Then the other sister decided to try knocking, gathering all your strength and determination into one blow. With great momentum, she swung her body to hit the door directly, and suddenly the door swung open and the hero came out. Due to the fact that the girl lost her balance, she instantly began to fall. Literally a second later, she found herself right on top of the hero and clearly felt awkward. With a smile, the main character asked why Eki Xiaoli sat down on him. The lady immediately tried to get off him, considering him an even bigger pervert. The other sister couldn't understand what they were doing here, because Black Lily's gang was outside. There were too many of them, a large squad, and she was sure that their leader Lin Mulian had also come. She was holding a pistol with a silencer, and therefore it would be difficult to fight. Rising to her feet, Xiaoli immediately said that her injuries were caused by the hands of this gang, and today they must take revenge on these girls. Then the hero said that there was no point in interfering, because of course they would take revenge on them, and there was a very effective way. Stunned by what they heard, the ladies immediately began to wonder what exactly the method was. Suddenly, the hero showed a bikini and said that this method would be amazing. In response to this, one of the sisters, hitting the hero with an uppercut, began shouting that they would never wear such shameful underwear. Using a Spartan hold, she began to choke the insolent guy while he tried to say something. Meanwhile, the enemies were getting closer and closer, and they were already right at the entrance to the house. One of the opponents noticed that they had already arrived and reported this to the head. Chuchu was also on the team Sonomi, who shouted that the guy who killed Hong Ying is here, as well as those twins. This was great news for them, since all the enemies had gathered in one place, and now they could not escape anywhere. The Black Lily squad slowly approached the entrance and tried to secretly enter the house. The enemies discovered that the door to the house was open. The door slowly opened and diffused light began to penetrate through it. The impudent girls began to enter the house and found some traces. The commander ordered to stand as footsteps were heard. The girls could literally hear that their enemies were nearby and aimed forward. This was great news for them as they were ready for battle. Armed with all available weapons, the squad was going to secretly attack Hao Lanzhen and his sisters. Stealthily, they began their attack and moved at full speed in the direction from which the footsteps were heard. What they saw really shocked them, as they did not expect to see anything in this house. Before their eyes was a zombie who was dressed in a bikini and dancing. Not expecting this, they only saw the zombies dancing, and there were no enemies in this room. Suddenly, the zombie girl noticed that people were approaching her. Then she began her attack, taking even more zombies that were behind her. They all stood in the room and were ready to attack living people. Chuchu Sonomi and the head of the clan were shocked by what they saw and did not understand where all these zombies came from, and whether they had all gathered because of this zombies' dance. Their excitement was boundless because a huge number of zombies were standing in the room and preparing to attack. Soon all the zombies attacked because they were tired of waiting. The head ordered all the girls to flee as they were ambushed. Then she took out her machine gun and prepared to fight back. Sparing no ammo, the girl fired from a Kalashnikov assault rifle to repel the dirty zombies. Another girl came up and announced to the main one that they were having bad times, because there were also zombies outside and they were all surrounded. Many zombies began to attack the lady who had just entered the apartment door. In a matter of seconds, she was consumed and lost her life. Behind the girls, who were preparing to escape, zombies were also approaching, ready to attack. 2 more girls were bitten at the same time without the possibility of resistance. Suffering from despair, Chuchu Sonomi thought that she couldn't just die. However, the zombies around her did not share this point of view. The girl continued to cry and scream, refusing to accept her fate. Behind her, the head desperately tried to defend herself, killing many zombies with a machine gun. But the bullets were not endless, and soon there would not be enough of them. Many zombies were hit by well-aimed shots. Some, however, turned out to be smarter and avoided the shots. The girl in the bikini dodged all the bullets aimed in her direction. Without waiting for the head, Chuchu took the machine gun from her and tried to run away, trying to save her life. Meanwhile, the girl in the bikini protected her head from the zombies without killing them. However, the head understood that without their sister, they might not even be here, since they would not want to participate in this fight. The bikini girl continued to observe the events, seeming to have a higher level of intelligence compared to the other zombies. It turned out that it was Hao, masked Lanzhen, who saw the girl's true nature, disgusted him, and today they had to pay for it. It was time to act, although it was difficult to get those fuel cans. Meanwhile, the girls continued to fight and argue among themselves. Lady Zombie carried the canister directly to the girls, who could not share the machine among themselves. Surprised, Chuchu Sonomi screamed at the zombies, telling them not to come any closer. The zombies continued to move forward unwaveringly, and the frightened lady screamed, but her words did not reach the ears of the inanimate creature. Fear gripped the girl even more, and she began to shoot, trembling from tension. Only the head of the group noticed that she was actually behind the girl in a bikini. Several bullets pierced the lady, but she continued to move despite her wounds. In her hands was a canister of fuel, which was also attacked by bullets. This became a real battle of survival for both the lady and the zombies. There was a devastating explosion, and flames scattered throughout the room. The fire soon spread outside the premises, surrounding the huge house. It turned out that all this time the zombie in a bikini was controlled by Hao Lanzhen, who thus said goodbye to his opponents. They began to retreat, having completed their mission and protected themselves from the attacking girls. The guy received a notification, and the goddess of the system congratulated him on receiving 6 million coins. This meant that controlling zombies and killing other zombies also earned gold, which was quite attractive. Seeing that the guy was thoughtful, Chuchu Sonomi asked him to stop thinking. The little sister was in his arms, looking straight at him, and the girl thought that he was preparing something bad. There was no time for quarreling now, especially since Lan Zhen had saved them from the attack of the Black Lilies gang, Xiaomei said. The guy added that her sister is much smarter than she seems, and her anger is the only thing she knows. This response only made the girl angrier, considering the cost of fuel and the damage to her motorcycle. The other sister wondered why Hao Lanjin made another zombie dance. Then the guy explained that everything is quite simple. The chi points. Then the girl will start dancing without stopping, inviting her to try it herself. The sisters did not like the proposal for a trial, and they expressed their indignation by uniting against it. This immediately escalated into a brawl. The completely exhausted hero reflected that even if he told them that he could control zombies, they probably wouldn't believe him. Events unfolded 20 minutes ago. At this time, the hero decided to improve his magic eye, and his ability turned into the Eye of Fighting Spirit. The Eye of Morale has been achieved. The ability of this eye is to transfer the memories and perceptions of the owner into the zombie. At that moment, the guy turned to the goddess of the system to find out how it works. The Eye of Morale activates once every 2 hours, and only one zombie can be controlled at a time. When a zombie is under control, the owner can see everything in his field of vision. This skill was truly powerful because the guy could not only control the zombies, but also see everything that happened in front of his eyes. And using this skill effectively could bring enormous benefits. The events took place near the estate in the local area. The guy was sitting on the roof of the building and mysteriously watching something. Then he noticed something and exclaimed joyfully, realizing that this was exactly the one he needed. Using his skill, he summoned the desired zombie. The skill worked with lightning speed, despite the large number of zombies around. One of the zombie girls turned her head as if she was under someone's influence. Gradually, the hero continued to use his ability, and the zombie's DNA began to change. The color of the dead girl's eyes also changed, acquiring a blue tint. The joyful guy realized that he was now in the body of a zombie. But at the same time, it was clear to him that the beginning of their performance would begin in another place. At this point, the guy decided to use the zombie girl's charm to summon other zombies. All the surrounding male zombies immediately responded to such a bait, showing an instant reaction. They literally fell in love with the zombie girl and were ready to follow her. Each of the zombie men who saw the zombie girl under Hao's control, Langenia went after her. Even though they were dead, men remained men. It was truly an amazing plan, and the hero himself was amazed at what he came up with. At the moment, the guy was only laughing evilly, unable to say anything. The sisters simply watched the guy laugh, thinking that he was thinking about something obscene. But this is not entirely true, because at that time, the hero was simply thinking about his successful plan. And, although he expressed joy at how they dealt with the Black Lily gang, his sister did not believe him. Confused, Xiaomei asked them not to fight, explaining that if they continued to make noise, they would attract all the zombies in the area, and it was best to move on. They soon found themselves close to the casino and decided to walk there before dawn. Deciding to speed up, they hurried to get there as quickly as possible. Suddenly, one of the zombies peeked around the corner, having heard some noise. There was already a hunter behind him, armed with his blade. With a deft movement of his hand, the hunter took the life of the zombie and continued moving. It turned out that after killing the zombie, coins also began to fall from him, replenishing the account of the mysterious hunter. An unknown hunter received a notification from the system informing him that he had earned 1 million gold coins. It turned out that he also had a similar skill, like the hero himself. And so it turned out that it was the hero himself who killed other unliving people with the help of zombies and earned money. And now it was much easier for him to behave in this world after acquiring such a skill. Thanks to this ability, he was able to destroy 3 zombies without directly participating in the battle, and this skill turned out to be truly powerful. Thus, they continued to move forward, 3 brave and 1 zombie, destroying other undead and approaching the casino. However, the casino itself was surrounded by a colossal number of zombies, filling the entire area around the building. The brave men watched what was happening from the roof of one of the buildings. The hero had a plan: to make his way through the entire horde of zombies to get to the gate and enter the casino. Brave Ekishali proposed to distract the zombie crowd, allowing the allies to run to the gate and infiltrate the casino. Suddenly, her sister stopped her. Pulling out her bow, she asked for this chance. The sharpshooting girl took aim and decided to use the opportunity to distract the zombies. There were too many zombies at the gate, so she started looking for objects that could be used as a distraction. Fortunately, there were barrels of flammable material nearby that could be exploded. An accurate shot was required using an optical sight. An arrow fired from a modified bow flew straight towards those same barrels. She flew past one of the zombies, who was very close. The zombie almost caught the arrow, but luckily it was getting closer to its target. With a predatory shot, the arrow hit a barrel of fuel and it burst into flames. The massive fire consumed everything in its path, including the zombie that was standing very close. The noise from the explosion of several barrels of fuel attracted the attention of many zombies. They immediately headed to the place where such a loud sound came from. The girl observed all this through an optical sight. The entrance to the casino was successfully cleared, as if under the influence of stunning magic. Now there was no one at the gate, and they could move forward, heading towards the desired building. Smiling, the hero praised the girl for her brilliant shot. Her sister also expressed her praise, adding that she was able to hit a target from 1,000 meters away. The casino amazed with its grandeur, like a huge building decorated with gold. The hero saw golden bones from above, and he liked this picture. My sister said that they often visited this casino before the apocalypse and played there. Expecting a large amount of gold, the hero hurried to enter this magnificent building. Suddenly, the asphalt underneath them began to crack, and they had to try to escape. Incredibly loud sounds came from an unknown source. Something started to come out, and it was probably a monster. A loud noise echoed around, attracting the attention of everyone in the area. The girls experienced great anxiety, worrying about their lives. A giant monster appeared in front of them, not at all like a zombie. This unknown creature was amazing in its size. It was gigantic. In addition, it was furious and made loud screams. His eyes were red, his mouth was huge, and there were several blisters on his face. His scream began to break the windows of buildings. It was so loud. The hero tried to shield the girls from the glass flying towards them. One of the sisters suggested that it could be a demon. Survivors claimed that the demons were mutated zombies. The destructive power of this creature frightened everyone because it was equivalent to 100 zombies, and no one expected to meet it. The guy realized how strong this demon is. Taking the stone, he decided to climb under the car and carry out his idea. Having thrown a stone, the guy wanted to find out how the demon would react. The noise from breaking glass attracted the creature, and it instantly moved towards the source of the noise. The giant approached the broken glass to find out what happened. It turned out that it was a hero's trap, and the monster was caught. The zombie under his control was already on the lantern and ready to attack. He began to fall down at speed, taking with him a sharp spear. The hero, continuing his fall, hoped that the zombie could destroy this giant. The spear had to hit the demon's head. But suddenly, the giant intercepted the zombie, who was supposed to hit him. Using his giant hand, he literally crushed the little zombie. The demon, carefully watching the unknown zombie, did not understand why he was attacked. Then he decided to extract this zombie and opened his mouth, preparing to devour it. With giant teeth, the demon began to chew the zombies as if they were food. He really enjoyed this meal and probably wanted more. Having absorbed one of the dead, the giant began to think about something. Haolanjin realized that the demon was not only strong and destructive, but also very smart and fast. With the current level of the magical eye, the hero would not be able to defeat it and take control of it. Hearing this, the goddess of the system immediately came to the rescue. Gradually, she began to teleport to the world of the apocalypse. And she appeared right in front of the hero, as if wanting to help him. Ordinary people did not see this, and the guy only looked around, as if he saw someone in front of him. The goddess calmed him down, explaining that ordinary people really couldn't see her. The demon is a zombie that has absorbed 10,000 other dead people and has become a high-level zombie, but the owner is not yet able to take control of it. But if the hero can kill him, he will receive a big bonus. The system issued a temporary task to destroy a high-level zombie demon in 3 days, as a reward of 100 million gold coins and a special reward. The guy really liked this event, and he was ready to fight to the last to receive the reward. The alarmed girls wanted to bypass the zombies and go for the gold. The guy had his own plans. They were supposed to find gold anyway, but he had to destroy this demon. If they go for the gold, the demon might escape. By killing him, they will not only get rid of a dangerous threat, but will also earn a lot of gold with a bonus reward. After this thought, the guy had an idea. Raising one of the sisters, he announced that he had a plan and there was no need to be afraid. Suilin. By ordering Ekisheli follow him, he expressed confidence in success. First, they needed to find a safe place to rest. According to the plan, they will hide from the demon in the place indicated on the map, and then enter the casino through another gate. Using the back door, they were easily able to enter the casino building. This way, they will avoid the zombie horde and go up to the 5th floor of the casino. There, in the restroom, far from the horde, they found a safe haven. Walking along the corridor of the casino, the hero decided to explore one of the rooms and asked the girls to wait here, because he wanted to check if there were dead people in the room. Using his magical vision, he looked through the door. And then I decided to open it. The door swung open, revealing a view of the room before the hero. There was nothing particularly noteworthy in the room, just an empty room and scattered things. But someone's silhouette was still visible through the curtain. The guy at that moment thought that there really should be someone in the room. Continuing to walk into the room, an unknown substance appeared under his foot, because of which he began to slide across the floor, almost falling. Walking to the bed, the hero decided to explore the situation further. Entering the room, he realized that his body was covered with wax, but he also discovered that there was something in his hand. The little sister also entered the room and exclaimed to him to be careful. Fortunately, everything was fine with the hero. He just found the doll and was very happy with it. The girls did not like the spectacle, and they closely watched what would happen next. The doll was lying on the bed, and the guy continued to touch it. But then he got tired of it, and together they threw the doll onto the bed to rest. At the time, he confidently believed that there was a zombie hiding in the room, but it turned out that it was just a hat hanging on a hanger. One of the sisters thought that the guy had specifically chosen this number for strange people. It was pure chance, and he was just looking for a cozy place to relax. The guy took out a lot of food from his stock and put it in his hat as if he had found something valuable in the room. He then began to walk away, announcing that he needed to prepare to fight the demon. Little sister, hearing this, was going to go with him and help. But the guy didn't need help because he was going to handle everything himself. And she should have stayed and protected her sister while he dealt with the rest. Eki Xiaomei only asked her brother to be careful, and Xiaoli was going to eat his apple. The door closed, and the guy instantly began to think. Now his plan was gradually beginning to come true. First, the heroes had to find the safe, which was not difficult. But to deal with the demon, they needed to earn more money. This place was ideal for earning as much as possible. Suddenly, behind the hero, there were knocks on the door, as if it was being knocked down. And then the door collapsed because it was really knocked down. A giant zombie appeared, ready to attack the careless guy. This strong and brave zombie was indeed suitable to earn even more money. The huge zombie began his attack by swinging his fist to attack. The guy was not embarrassed and used his Eye of Martial Spirit ability. The zombie suddenly slowed down and stopped attacking. He was already under the control of the hero, performing actions given by Hao himself, Lan Zhenim. At first, the giant zombie couldn't understand what was happening. Gradually, his DNA changed and his eye color became blue. From that moment on, the giant zombie was completely under the control of the main character. With the help of this ally, the hero could easily collect as much money as possible, destroying all the zombies on his way. This zombie truly deserved the title of number 1, having already earned several tens of millions. While this zombie dealt with the others, the hero went to look for a safe with gold. Starting from the basement and going up to each floor, the hero continued his search. After some time, the guy was very exhausted because he examined every corner of the building but did not find the safe. I even checked the main building and the middle floor, but in vain, as if the safe had been moved. Passing by the office, the guy noticed its luxury. Presumably, it was the office of the casino owner. Perhaps this is where the safe with gold is hidden. In the pictures, the couple looked in love. Using his special abilities, the hero determined that there was a mechanism hidden behind the picture. By pressing just one button, he was able to open the door. It was lucky that this place had its own generator. There is probably gold behind these doors. He was really lucky because he had his own source of energy. Gold was probably hidden behind these doors. The room contained an excellent defense system, separating the hero and the gold he sought to obtain. But such a barrier could not delay him. Using his agility, he easily maneuvered among the many lasers in his path. Dancing and performing acrobatic tricks, he was getting closer to the safe doors with every second. Fortunately, all obstacles were left behind, and the goal was almost achieved. Whistling his favorite melody, the guy tried to find out what was inside. Using his magical ability, he entered through the door. It turned out that the door was completely empty, and only one envelope was hidden behind such protection. Unfortunately, the hero walked 52 floors, but never found his gold. Gathering all his will into a fist, he decided that he was obliged to find out what such protection was intended for. Using his superhuman strength, he hit the door's security mechanism. Having broken the door, he still managed to get into the storage room. There was just a simple envelope, protected by such a complex system. It was written on the envelope that it should be opened when his wife was not around. Unfortunately, there was only a torn photograph where the casino owner was next to some girl. Hiding the photo seemed pointless, but on the back of the sheet there were some numbers and letters. Suddenly, the system sent a notification. She reported that the zombie, which the owner took control of, died, but earned a lot of gold coins. The balance was 51 million gold coins. This zombie was really good, and although there was no gold, you can level up using the coins you have accumulated. Soon after this, the goddess of the system teleported the hero to her system. Thus, the magic eye was upgraded first to the Eye of Martial Spirit and then to the Eye of Crimson Flame, the upgrade cost of which was 20 million coins. Immediately after improving the hero's ability, a scarlet flame surrounded him and changed his DNA. With the improvement of this ability, his strength began to awaken with even greater intensity, and the guy felt several times stronger. His eye was now scarlet, because this ability was called Eye of Scarlet Flame. The improvement was successfully completed, and the guy now really became stronger. The system also congratulated him. He can now control 2 zombies, and there's also a new skill called Eye of the Falcon. This news really made the hero happy. He realized that he could now control 2 zombies at the same time. He also decided to learn a new ability called the Eye of the Falcon. The goddess of the system only said that he needed to learn this ability himself. After the improvement, a new ability of the system became available to him, called 10 Revolutions. And for 10 revolutions, you can win precious artifacts, and she invited him to try it. Hearing about the increased chance of receiving rewards, the hero decided to give it a try. Unfortunately, after a few games, his balance had dropped from 30 million to 11 million, and his inventory now contained many useless items. With each game, the number of unnecessary items in his inventory increased. One of the items was durian, as well as pajamas. Unfortunately, the durian turned out to be empty. We couldn't even eat it. The playful system suggested that he look for something else interesting, because perhaps he would be able to find something valuable. It seems the guy has finally found something he can use. Erythromycin ointment stood out from the pile of rubbish, which, of course, is not capable of completely curing Xiaomi, but at least it will stop the infection. Among the rubbish, there was something else interesting. Taking with him a new gift, the hero set off. At the exit from the vault, an unusual zombie was already waiting for him. This was a bad omen. Zombies he could handle, but touching them could backfire. The zombies stood right at the entrance to the vault and did not avoid the red lasers. Seeing their target, the sinister undead attacked decisively. With ferocity, they rushed to the attack, trying to quickly eat the main character. One of the zombies came across a laser in the room that borders the entrance. Upon touching the laser, a giant machine gun began to appear from the wall. It turned out to be a turret, designed to hit any target attempting to enter the vault. All the zombies who tried to destroy the hero were destroyed by the turret. All events unfolded right in front of other zombies who had not yet had time to attack. The guy really did not expect this development of events, and he was slightly shocked. At that time, zombies closely watched the hero's every move and still tried to attack. They immediately went on the attack, rapidly approaching the lasers. After passing through several lasers, they were again trapped. More turrets popped out of the walls, intent on destroying the zombies trying to reach the vault. Through this fiery hell, Hao Lenjin had no idea how to get through and evade among them. Some of the shots were aimed straight at him, hitting his body. The bullets could have reached his head, but at the right moment, Lanjin used his new ability. Thanks to her, he easily dodged even bullets flying at unimaginable speed. Many bullets flew at him, and he deftly dodged each of them, as if dancing among a deadly hail. All the bullets around him suddenly slowed down in their flight. It was the magic of the Eye of Scarlet Flame, or rather, the power of the Eye of the Falcon. Thus, he could see the direction of objects and creatures. Everything happened in slow motion, or he had the ability to slow down time. Having this ability, he managed to avoid injury in difficult situations. Suddenly, he decided to pour himself a glass of wine. As he continued to dodge the arrows aimed at him, he raised his glass. The zombies, frightened by the heavy shots, began to run, leaving the battlefield. Controlling your body while dodging bullets was like a game for the protagonist. While the guy dodged the arrows, the zombies collided with them with their bodies. Such situations became boring and devoid of pleasure for him. Realizing this, he decided to do something else. After summoning several zombies, he decided to take action. The summoned zombies headed towards the turrets to destroy them. The turrets intended for firing exploded and stopped firing. Someone began to emerge from the smoke that rose after the explosion. It was the hero himself, who was thrilled to be able to control 2 zombies and marvel at the power of the Eye of the Falcon, which allowed him to easily defeat the demons. It's time to move on to the next stage of the plan. The zombies were still alive and followed the hero, but there was smoke floating around them. Events developed behind Casino. The guy leisurely strolled around the backyard, singing along to his favorite tune. He was proud of himself because he had earned a huge amount of money. Suddenly, Lanjan noticed that everything around him had suddenly become dark. Suddenly, the shadow of a giant zombie demon appeared, standing right next to the carefree guy. The sinister demon was carefully watching the guy, about to launch his powerful attack. While they both looked at each other carefully, nothing happened. The giant appeared too early, and the hero was not prepared for such a meeting, and he teleported the gifts to his inventory so as not to damage them. However, he was glad that the demon came to him for a quick fight. The demonic creature was ready for battle, opening its blood-spouting mouth. Using his enormous strength, the demon easily destroyed the fountain with one touch. Apparently, he grabbed the hero along with him. Despite all this, the guy stood as if nothing had happened and declared that now it was his turn to attack. With confidence in his own abilities, he strove to attack, determined to win. His plans were ruined when he heard the sound of a car approaching. Confused, the hero did not understand what was happening and what he should do now. An unknown machine, fully equipped to survive the apocalypse and destroy zombies, was approaching the battlefield. The car drove straight up to Hao Lanzhenyu and stopped next to him. The driver turned out to be the owner of the casino, who invited the guy to get into the car, since fighting the demon was not so easy. This unexpected turn of events shocked the guy, but he knew how to act in this situation. The car headed in the other direction, passing the zombie demon. Grateful Hao Lanzhen expressed his gratitude to the casino owner for his timely arrival. But they had to pick up speed, because the demon was already very close. Suddenly, the demon attacked again, slamming its giant foot into the ground. Fortunately, the impact did not reach the car, and it continued moving. The angry demon began to pursue the car, determined to catch up with the fugitives. The blow was very close, but fortunately they managed to avoid it. The hero decided to take control into his own hands and got behind the wheel, and the casino owner was amazed at the ability of such a young guy to drive a car. The confident guy asked the man to sit still so he could see what this machine could do. This behavior caused anxiety in the elderly man, who was worried about his expensive car. Together, they moved very quickly, and the elderly casino owner screamed furiously. Not paying attention, the guy turned on the music at full volume and increased the speed. The speed exceeded 142 kilometers per hour, and they were not going to reduce it. All this time, the giant demon followed them, preparing to destroy the small machine. Without giving up, the giant followed his pursuers, destroying everything in his path. The zombie, destroying everything in its path, continued to pursue its target, trying to eat it. The brave guy climbed out of the car window to joke with the little demon. This angered the giant even more, who looked at his food with contempt. And with even greater speed, he tried to catch up with the target. Everything in his path was destroyed, and every building that his gigantic body touched began to collapse. Using all its power, the giant increased its speed, rapidly approaching the desired car. The demon got so close that it reached out with its arms, ready to grab the car. An elderly man watched what was happening from the car window, begging the guy to speed up. Smiling, the hero warned about the need to bend down before the height limit ahead. An underground entrance opened in front of them, and they rushed into it, a giant shadow following them. The giant demon hand almost grabbed the car, but they managed to slip forward. With relief, the guys realized that they had finally dealt with the demon. The alarmed man heard that this was not the end. An unknown part of the demon was approaching the car and rushing forward. The hero used his ability to slow down time. The unknown part of the demon continued to move, and the hero dodged it with ease. This ability helped the guy get ahead, controlling every movement of the monster's tentacles. The man watched what was happening in horror and could not understand how this was possible. The guys were far ahead, leaving the demon behind. The demon seemed to be under the rubble, unable to move. But in fact, it was only a small part of him that he controlled and attacked. The demon was still alive, but he did not understand how such a weak target could elude him. Events developed sometime later. It was already getting dark. Stopping near residential buildings, the hero decided to ask the man how he could live in such a place, surrounded by the land of the demon. But it turns out that it was safer next to him, since there were fewer zombies there, and the main thing was to hide only from the demon. The friendly casino owner introduced himself as Guo Defeng, wanted to know the name of his savior. After shaking hands, they introduced themselves and expressed satisfaction with their new acquaintance. To avoid negative intentions, the man said that his house was located nearby and invited the guest to come inside. Together they headed indoors to enter the apartment. The mystery man expressed interest in the guy's personal details, such as whether he had a girlfriend, age, and where he lived. In search of the keys, the man, rummaging through his things, could not find them, as if he had lost the keys to the house. Suddenly, a hand grabbed his arm. It turned out to be the hand of an unfamiliar girl who seemed ready to attack. Her appearance was terrifying and shabby, more like a zombie than an ordinary girl. Even Hao himself, Lanjin, did not foresee this development, considering that this girl called the man dear. An alarmed elderly man asked to release this woman, explaining that she was his wife. It turned out that his wife began to have mental problems from the very beginning of the apocalypse. Now she and his 3 daughters lived together. Opening the door, they walked inside and found 3 incredibly attractive daughters. The first of them met a daughter named Hui Mei, who was expecting to see her dad. However, she saw the stranger and did not even seem surprised. The caring father told his daughter that this was his new friend, and she should pour some water and bring some food. This family atmosphere really confused the guy, but he decided to behave politely. The man began to talk about how he was wandering the streets in search of food and came across Hao Lanjenya, who was being chased by a demon. Initially, he planned to save the guy, but in the end, the guy himself saved him. The sisters were amazed that this guy turned out to be their dad's savior. Little sister named Shui Qin was delighted by the company of such a brave hero. Another sitting sister, Yu Fan, was also happy to see the determined guy. For some reason, this whole situation irritated the hero. The man noticed that it was getting dark outside the window and warned that it could be dangerous on the street at night. Attentive Guo Defeng invited the guests to stay with them for the night. The polite guy replied that he was grateful for the dinner, but it was time for him to return so as not to create unnecessary trouble. The caring sisters did not want to let him go, persuading him to eat even more food, because he was their savior. The guy, realizing that he really needed to eat after several days without food, agreed. The hero was grateful to the whole family for such a service. The man watched with pleasure as his guest enjoyed his meal. Taking advantage of the hospitality, Hao Lanjin ate a hearty lunch. This amazed everyone because no one expected this guy to eat so much. Guo Defeng was slightly alarmed and asked if his guest was happy. There were few men in their world, and the girls were no longer small. If the hero remains, then in addition to food, his daughters will also be his. This offer was very tempting and difficult to refuse. The little sisters literally begged their brother to stay. They even offered to give him a massage, which would undoubtedly leave him satisfied. My father didn't even try this food himself, but he apparently really liked the guy. Reflecting on the proposal, the hero thought because he had the opportunity to win 3 beauties and a lot of food in addition, and this was an excellent offer. My father wasn't against it either. He just wanted him to have an heir. It was difficult to refuse the offer, but the guy tried to do it tactfully. Unfortunately, he did not succeed, and he noticed that the food from this world is completely tasteless, and he cannot cope with 3 wives, referring to the man as a fat man. Guo First Defeng took this as a joke, assuming that no man would refuse such an offer. The daughters were also indignant and wanted to know what they were suspected of and why he did not want to become part of their family. The strange man continued to insist that if the guest wanted to take the 3 daughters into the bedroom, then they were now family. All this time, the hero was aware that this obese man had chosen him as a target. What happened earlier was suspicious, because the man decided to save the stranger from the demon. And he hides in the shadows of this monster, and such a creature would not allow anyone to live in safety next to him. When the hero entered the room, one of the daughters had bruises. This family turned out to be not as harmonious as it seemed, and now Hao Lanjun decided to see what awaited him next, and he used his ability. With the help of his X-ray, the guy discovered terrible things. He realized that this obese man was a pervert, and all his daughters and wife were lies. Other rooms contained numerous torture instruments. Possibly Guo Defeng keeps the girls at bay and under his control. Continuing to look around, it became clear to the hero. He made the assumption that this man was a demon. While Guo Defeng continued to smile, he asked the hero where he was looking. He wanted to know what the guy was up to and what he would do. At that moment, Hao Lanjun decided to get up from his chair and said that the conditions were really excellent. However, he would prefer to continue living alone. The fat man, full of indignation, looked at the hero, but the latter only expressed gratitude and farewell. Finally, the heroes managed to leave the apartment, and their daughters, along with the so-called father, watched the guy from the balcony. One of the daughters, as if sensing danger, asked the man if the guest understood something. In response to this question, Guo Defeng hit the girl hard in the face. He then called her a useless creature as she fell to the floor from a strong blow. He called all the girls around him a disappointment because they couldn't keep the guy. The man continued to look at his so-called daughters with contempt, plotting something. Hui Mei was on her knees and begging her father to give her another chance. She was even ready for the man to strangle her, and she was ready to do anything for the sake of salvation. However, all these events did not satisfy Guo Defeng, and he ordered the demon to devour the girl. The giant demon instantly approached and grabbed the innocent lady. In an effort to devour her, he instantly threw the defenseless lady into his mouth. After that, he closed his mouth and clamped his teeth, preventing her from trying to get out. In horror, the defenseless girls continued to watch what was happening. At the same time, the man expressed his indignation because due to some monster, he had lost a large amount of food, and he ordered the girls who were with him to be brought. After all, he did not expect this monster to exhibit such behavior. Since he did not want to resolve the situation peacefully, then he will have to resort to more radical measures. But this impudent man will have nowhere else to hide because he is already in captivity. And the 2 girls who were with the hero will now become the property of Guo Defeng. The events unfolded in a dark alley in the city, where our hero was walking, trying to recover from the situation that had happened to him. It seemed as if someone was following him, watching where the guy was going. It turned out to be part of the demon, capable of traveling long distances. The tentacle was conducting surveillance, trying to find out exactly where the impudent guy was going to capture those same 2 girls. Hao Lanjun felt that someone was watching him and realized that it was that demon. Therefore, he quickened his steps, trying to escape as quickly as possible. The demon continued its surveillance, heading towards the target's house. Suddenly, the guy disappeared from the demon's sight. The demon looked around, trying to figure out where exactly the impudent man had disappeared. The guy was never found in various buildings. In one of the buildings, there were only dancing zombies, as if trying to seduce a demon. The demon did not like this at all, and he was confused. Annoyed by what was happening, he destroyed these dancing zombies. Guo Defeng continued to blame the demons for his failures and insulted them. He was furious, believing that it was the demons' fault that they had missed their goal. Outraged, he decided to resort to a secret method. The sinister scoundrel ordered the giant demon to move on. Obeying this, the demon headed off in search of his targets. Meanwhile, the hero watched what was happening, thinking about the next steps. Suddenly, an unknown piece of paper fell into his hands. It turned out that it was the same photograph that he had previously found in the safe. At that moment, it dawned on the hero that he got the photo for a reason. Having hidden it, he decided it was time to act, and he headed to the casino where the events had previously unfolded. There, Eki Xiaoli had already discovered that the demon was under the control of some old man. How about this Longjanu, who had already approached the girls? They were surprised by what they heard, but knew they had to act carefully so as not to attract attention. The little sisters wanted to find out if someone was watching the hero, because it seemed to them that the demon would not let them go just like that. The hero knew that he was being watched and was about to leave, also notifying that he was able to find medicine. His arsenal included erythromycin, hydrogen peroxide, alcohol, and an anti-infective agent. But not only the medicines were at his disposal, there was also another unusual find. So he pulled out a large box from which something amazing crawled out. It turned out to be a large caliber sniper rifle. Little sister was amazed and couldn't help asking where he got such a thing. Then he invited them closer, preparing to reveal his secret and asked them to keep it secret. The little sisters came up with delight, ready to listen carefully to his story about the origin of this unusual weapon. They listened with delight to where exactly the hero got this rifle. Suddenly he stood up and, with a smile, said that he took all these things out of his pants, inviting his sisters to check for themselves if they didn't believe it. His pants actually contained not only artifacts and equipment, but also a jet and spinning object. The sisters were not at all happy with this answer, and they decided to teach him a lesson. Because of such words, the girls decided to give him a real lesson by striking him with incredible force. The young guy looked like he had been beaten and spanked by the devastating blows from the two ladies, and now he wanted to find out how his sisters were doing. His interest was awakened after he was bandaged, and before that, the wound was carefully treated and a healing ointment was used. Despite the incredible pain, the girl endured the procedure, as it was important to prevent the spread of infection. It took a lot of medicine, but luckily it was supposed to help. Suddenly, the liquid in the flask with the medicine began to sway, and the sisters thought that a real earthquake had begun. Using his special ability, the brother decided to find out what was really going on. Unfortunately, it was not an earthquake at all. A giant demon appeared, approaching from all sides, destroying everything around and creating vibrations that made the earth tremble. And in the hands of this powerful creature was a villain named Guo Defeng, who controlled the demon. It was clear from his sly smile that he had some insidious plan brewing in his head. The demon, sensing the scent of a man, let out a piercing scream, preparing to attack. This scream echoed everywhere, causing the city to tremble from its power. At that time, Hao Lanjin couldn't understand what sinister plans were in this demon's head. With every second, the giant was approaching the casino building, creating incredible tension. And so, this creature began to inhale air deeply into its lungs, his mouth and lungs filled with air. At this moment, the creature increased in size, reaching colossal volumes. Suddenly, the demon let out all the air he had inhaled. A huge blast wave spread from this act, destroying everything in its path. This explosion resembled a nuclear one, creating a destructive effect similar to the explosion of a warhead. The sisters and the main character remained perplexed, not understanding what exactly this demon was trying to do. As it turned out, by releasing the smell from his mouth, the demon was able to scan the space using sound waves. Thus, he revealed the location of the people he had been looking for a long time. The demon pointed his finger at them, preparing to attack after discovering their location. Guohead Defena got sick from the scream of this demon. He really hated this method, but fortunately for the heroes, the target's location was revealed. Enraged, Guo Defeng ordered the demon to attack and capture the girls. The obedient demon rushed forward, destroying all obstacles in its path to achieve its goal. The giant raced like a sprinter, destroying everything in its path to get to the desired location. The ground shook under his feet because his weight exceeded hundreds of tons. At this time, the sisters began their bold escape, trying to avoid any notice. The insidious giant threw his machinations, continuing to slowly move forward. However, when Eki's gaze Xiaoli stopped at the demon, her heart froze. There was no demon. The crushing giant jumped several kilometers into the air and began its mighty descent towards the surface of the earth. The powerful blast wave created chaos, consuming all buildings in its path and knocking them to the ground. Fortunately, my sister managed to avoid this destructive element and remain alive. The villain was close, and his goal was to kidnap the girl to use her in his insidious plans. The fat man chuckled and declared that he saw a beautiful creature that he was going to kidnap. After a sinister laugh, he ordered her to stay where she was, submit to his will, and not resist. The fat man's interest in the girl only grew, and he warned that if she tried to escape, she would become the first victim of his terrible plans. The scoundrel ordered the demon to go in pursuit of the girl in order to catch up and capture her. The demon's giant hand reached out to the girl, trying to grab her. The entire city was filled with the screams of a girl begging for help and salvation. The impudent man only grinned slyly, saying that his sister should not resist because she had nowhere to run. When the demon unclenched his hand, the girl was not found inside. The huge creature began to look around, and the scoundrel tried to find out where exactly the beauty was hiding. The girl was already in another part of the city, and the giant caught her movement. The scoundrel shouted that he was following the girl and was ready to do terrible things to her. Loud explosions were heard in the city. These were the steps of a giant, each of which, like thunder, destroyed entire multi-story buildings. Passing through the city skyscrapers, the giant continued to persistently follow his goal, aimed at the treasured prey. The overweight man viewed the situation as hopeless for the girl, because she could not go far once she was inside the casino, and he was curious how she would cope with this situation. Unexpectedly, Guo Defeng activated his belt, and a bright light began to shine from it. This belt had a built-in flashlight that illuminated his path ahead. Upon entering the building, the ill-wisher carefully scanned the room, leaning on his flashlight. By highlighting every corner along his path, the attacker sought to discover the target he was pursuing. The silhouette of a living creature flashed next to him, and he noticed it. Suddenly, the villain grabbed the girl and warned that he was following her. However, she managed to avoid him by throwing something in his direction. It was a pink scarf, and the scoundrel decided that Eki Xiaoli agreed to his terms. But a strange aroma wafted from this scarf. Suddenly, someone's hand reached out to Guo's head, Defeng, causing an unexpected moment of tension as she moved closer to his face. After receiving a powerful blow, Guo Defeng felt pain shoot through his face, causing not only physical pain, but possibly emotional shock as well. The scoundrel fell to the floor from the blow, and the girl called him a vile intruder. Such a strong force of impact threw the scoundrel against the wall, damaging part of the building. In amazement, the man could not understand where an ordinary, modest girl got such strength. And he was also interested in why Lady had such a strange voice. Everything became clear when in front of him was not a lady's form, but a man. The hero noted with satisfaction that the fat man could not recognize him. The surprised man suggested that the guy managed to change right under his nose. It turned out that the man was not so stupid, and in fact the hero was dressed in women's clothing. The angry villain gave the order to the demon to destroy Haolanjin. The demon began to destroy the walls that were very close and carried out his attacks. Feeling this, the hero instantly became wary and prepared to fight. Fortunately, the guy's first blow couldn't even begin, but he ended up almost at the very epicenter of the explosion. A giant fist was approaching a guy who was dressed in women's clothing. Gloating Guo Defeng was already anticipating the moment when his opponent would die. But this only caused the hero to laugh, and he calmly watched everything that was happening. The giant demon's fist closed, but only his removed clothes were visible nearby. Even the demon himself could not understand what was happening here. After all, when the fist closed, all the clothes were near the scene of events, but the man himself disappeared. All thanks to the fact that the hero changed clothes very quickly. Seeing this, even the demon himself was shocked. Haolanjin was wearing fashionable and beautiful pink pajamas. The man felt confused and was amazed, thinking that the guy was one of those. The giant demon liked this outfit very much, and the man could not understand what reaction his ally would show. Using another item from his inventory, the hero took it out. Then he threw it right next to the stunned man, who stood and did not understand anything. After that, Lanjin told the little demon to take action. The hero demonstrated defiant behavior by blowing kisses to the demon. The guy insisted that the demon bring the man to his knees. With surprise, Guo Defeng continued to watch the events unfold. Suddenly, he began to laugh, continuing his malicious taunts. Asking a challenging question, he asked if the guy really believed that controlling demons was within the power of anyone. He argued that idiots like the guy weren't capable of such things. However, his confidence turned out to be unacceptable as the daring man ended up in the hands of the demon himself. In great pain, he was put on durian, continuing the punishment. The hero, watching everything that was happening, realized that this story was not yet completed. The guy decides to use one more of his abilities, wanting to see what happens after this. The demon happily agrees to additional events. Together, they continue to torment their victim, presenting him with various tests. Evil Hao Lanren comes up behind Guo Defeng with the intention of adding an interesting element. He takes out the whip and decides to whip the villain so that he feels what his previous victims felt. A disfigured man tries to find out what will be done to him and if he can just leave. But his fate is already sealed, and terrible trials await him. After several minutes of torture, Guo Defeng begs for mercy, promising that he will never do anything like this again. The guy is amazed that this does not bring satisfaction to the scoundrel, since he thought that this was his favorite pastime. After all, he saw various objects in his house, and the man, in bewilderment, does not understand how the stranger came to know this information. And because he wants entertainment, the man is going to offer him his wife and daughter. He did not yet realize that the hero knows the true connection between him and the two women, considering them his wife and daughter. Practically surviving, they became the subjects of his experiments, and he used the demon to intimidate and kill men, imagining himself as a ruler. The hero was interested not only in this, but also in how this man controls the demon. The stunned and alarmed man hesitated, not knowing whether he should tell the hero about this. Then he said that at the beginning of the epidemic, he was a simple security guard in the nearby area. Last winter, together with Lao Jin, they searched for food in the casino for supplies to survive. While they were looking around the room for food, the man and woman were looking for means of survival. They previously discussed that in the event of a zombie apocalypse, Guo would be the first to die Defeng because he was weak. However, the boxes where the food was supposed to be were empty. And then the man discovered something amazing. On the skeleton hung a legendary Gucci suit, the cost of which was exorbitant. Guo Defeng couldn't explain it, but after putting on this suit, he felt incredibly rich. His partner was furious and wanted to know what this guy was doing, dressed like that. The suit really did strangely match the appearance of the guy who had just tried it on. As soon as the man put on this suit, it was as if an earthquake began. And in the end, something happened that no one expected. On their way, they met a legendary demon. The demon came straight to the casino and instantly killed his partner. Begging for help, the man was afraid that he too would die at the hands of a demon. He begged not to touch him, because he longed to survive, to get out of this damned place and go away, far from this threat, from this darkness that surrounded him. However, everything turned out to be much more complicated than expected, and the demon had his own plans. It was decided to abandon the idea of killing Guo Defeng and leave him alone. The villain, having examined the situation, realized that, while remaining in the form of a suit, the demon seemed to have no claims against him and could not influence him. In this guise, the scoundrel felt confident, as if the demon was under his control, ready to obey any orders. The hero, gathering courage, decided to ask the fat man if he understood the reasons for this strange phenomenon. Suddenly realizing the reason, the hero handed the fat man the very photograph that seemed to be the lost part of this riddle. In the photograph, there was a family where a man was wearing that same suit, and between him and the woman stood a child, an important link in this mysterious story. The child in the photo turned out to be the same demon who suddenly turned into a dark incarnation during the zombie apocalypse, connecting the past with the present in this chaotic world. Because of his father's suit, Guo Defeng became like his father, and the demon decided that he was his father. So when the hero ordered, the demon moved like a woman, resembling his mother. Hao Lanjun used this to his advantage, manipulating the demon and staying ahead. The man began to beg for mercy, apologized, and promised that he would change. Trying to leave, the impudent man also promised to return and release the girls he was holding captive. The heroes cared little about whether he was good or bad. But he shouldn't have targeted the hero's women. So his fate was inevitably difficult. So maybe they can meet in the next life. And here, the scoundrel took out an ampoule with the substance. He suddenly started drinking it, as if expecting the effect. At this time, Hao Lanjun was preparing for a powerful blow to destroy the scoundrel. After the blow was made, the fist passed through the villain and strange phenomena began. Under the influence of the hero's violent rage, something mysterious awakened inside him, and his eyes sparkled with red flames, expressing an unconditional desire to destroy the insolent, and his inner emotions turned him into a determined being, ready to act without regrets. The scoundrel began to leak a blue, unknown substance containing an unknown composition, and his eyes rolled back like those of a dead man, leaving behind a trace of a mysterious liquid that filled the space surrounding the body. The hero hit the villain with such force that he flew to the side as if he had been defeated, and everyone eagerly awaited what would happen next, filled with excitement and nervousness for the upcoming events. The scoundrel's immobilized body lay. It seemed that he would never get up again. The guy was already heading away from the battlefield, anticipating his victory. But inside his Guoan, unusual substance began to take effect on Defeng. The wound left after the strong blow began to heal. The villain's head was also undergoing changes, as if his DNA had been rearranged. The imperturbable guy only watched, not fully realizing what was happening. Guo Defeng, despite the apparent success, broke the silence, reminding that the final decision is still ahead, and one should not relax and rush to celebrate until the very end. And his words carried caution and anticipation of a possible turn of events, calling on the hero to be vigilant and careful. And the fat guy, although half dead with a fresh hole in his chest, was still moving, ready to fight. Anxiety began to take over the guy, and he did not know what to do next. Seeing the bottle of medicine the scoundrel had drunk, he immediately realized that this substance allowed him to regenerate. Given the backdrop of the apocalypse, he really did not expect such drinks. The man laughed and told his friend that he was really strong. Having forced him to resort to medicine, he, by drinking it, restored all his wounds. Today, his goal is to kill his opponent using all available precautions. The attack on the hero continues, and the villain quickly attacks. At the same time, the guy is preparing for battle, calling on the villain to attack. The fight is in full swing, and the villain tries to grab the guy to hit him. However, he is hit face first into the fist of the hero, who stands motionless. The blow is so powerful that it can crush any opponent standing in its path. Part of the villain's head is completely destroyed, and he is no longer able to fully fight. Confused, the villain begins to fall, clutching at the hero. It turns out that the fat guy is still alive and continues to fight on equal terms. Not allowing himself to take control, the cunning guy decides to launch a counterattack and jumps away from the villain. The fat man was extremely tired, as he was not used to this type of battle. In any case, he is not seriously injured and is able to recover again. And suddenly, he says that the guy was caught because he was able to tear off a piece of pink pajamas. The man begins to tear this piece into even smaller ones so that it cannot be used. This piece of pajamas was torn straight from the part that was on the back. The villain pretends to continue the fight, but in reality he tears the robe and thus tries to regain control of the demon. At that time, the guy doesn't expect the drink to restore the villain's head. And this is actually happening. An elderly man is trying to defeat a strong opponent with the help of a demon. But it's too late, and he calls a dark ally to come to his aid. This turn of events greatly alarmed the main character, and he does not quite understand what to do next. Suddenly, there is a huge explosion, and as expected, a monster appears. A giant demon comes to the aid of his so-called father. The man is sincerely glad that his demon coped with the task so successfully. The protagonist turned out to be so cunning that the villain did not expect him to still oppose him. With a grin on his face, the guy asks if the demon has played enough. Now, when the hero was about to deal with both of them in order to finally destroy them, the angry man again orders the demon to kill his enemy. With his arms crossed, the demon prepares for a powerful attack aimed at destroying the hero. But the cunning guy anticipates this and uses the Eye of Scarlet Flame to avoid the attack. Now he can easily follow the slow development of a fast and destructive attack. And, of course, dodge it with ease, since the slow attack allows a lot of time to react. Full of determination, the hero is ready to continue the battle, keeping on equal terms with the giant demon. Using his unique abilities, Hao Lunjin prepares to take further action. Dodging giant attacks, he slowly but surely moves closer to meet his enemy. The giant's attacks are full of force, capable of crushing anyone caught under them. But they are clearly not designed for an opponent as fast as the hero, who avoids them easily. The demon is confused, unable to deal with his enemy due to his amazing speed. This zombie is truly a master of evasion, but his movements are slow. This outcome angers the zombie baby even more, and he continues to attack using giant tentacles. These demonic tentacles attack much faster and more effectively, relentlessly hitting their target. The tentacle's aimed shot is aimed directly at the guy. But none of the blows finds a target, since the hero easily dodges them. Suddenly, the demon's tentacles suddenly stop. At that moment, the hero realized that the demon had finally been caught and decided to cleverly use this mistake. Grabbing the tentacles, he immediately began to act without wasting a second of his wakefulness. This part of the creature turned out to be so powerful that it could not move on its own and became completely useless. The demon screamed in pain, for he experienced an indescribable feeling that no one had given him before. The attacks resumed, but now they fell on the arms and legs because the tentacle was neutralized. The demon's supply of techniques seemed to have dried up, and he was unable to come up with anything other than ordinary attacks. Now the hero took the initiative into his own hands, launching attacks aimed at winning. Jumping straight onto the demon's hand, the hero continued his movement forward, aiming for his goal. He literally climbed onto the giant and headed towards his head. Gradually wrapping his arms and legs around the enemy's tentacles, the hero subjugated them to his power. One of the demon's arms was immobilized as those same tentacles were wrapped around it. The brave guy continued his maneuvers, gradually paralyzing the giant. Ultimately, the tentacle itself was entangled in a knot, dooming the demon to immobility. The hero successfully used his secret technique and decided to retreat for a while, giving himself a short break after a strong blow. This tactic caused the demon to stab himself in the face. The hero, like a winner, landed on the ground and waited for the developments in this battle, carefully trying to predict the enemy's next steps and ready to continue the fight. The worried man watched all this time, thinking that his opponent was a real monster, capable of defeating the demon with such amazing dexterity. As soon as the effect of the drink wore off, the fat man instantly realized that it was time to run. Laughing evilly, he tried to sneak away, but was met by his little sister, whom he had so furiously tried to kidnap. After all, his actions turned out to be far from being as easy as he imagined. With a katana in her hands, the girl could easily incapacitate such an impudent type like him. With one slight movement of the blade, the girl neutralized the most furious villain who had ever crossed her path. With the last of his strength, the fat man turned to look his death in the face. Although he was able to recover, the pain was just as incredible. Then she decided to attack again the girl whom he had so persistently tried to kidnap. Without hesitation, she continued her offensive maneuver. This attack destroyed half of the sassy type and completely paralyzed him. The scoundrel could not at all understand how this happened and why. He knelt down without saying a word. It turned out to be an extremely accurate sniper shot. A shot fired by the same little sister who received a new sniper rifle. The brave girl also easily neutralized the impudent guy who dared to encroach on the life of her sister. The insidious scoundrel tried to find out where the sisters got such weapons from. And again he laughed, after which he began to recover, but the girl reminded him that the impudent person should think about his head. The lady resolutely brought the dagger closer to his eyes, because her brother told her to. And besides, he predicted that this scoundrel was doomed to death today. Events unfolded in a dark and gloomy city, in one of the apartments outside the casino area, namely, in an apartment from which a strong knock was heard on the door. In that room were the so-called daughters and wife of the insolent man. They were alarmed, believing that it was the knocking of the zombies and that they were trying to destroy them. The mentally unstable woman also believed that it was a zombie, and everyone in the room believed that their last hour would now come. Knocking and rumbling began, as if someone was persistently trying to get inside, and the sounds filled the room with tension and vague anxiety. Ultimately, it turned out that one of the sisters was knocking, trying to understand why they were locked in this room. She also sought to find out the reason for their inaction and inaction in this situation. They were all afraid to go outside, convinced that the zombies were coming towards them. One of the sisters said that she saw a fat man heading towards the casino. The girl thought that he would not return and suggested that everyone run away, but the so-called wife argued that if Guo Defeng will return, he will kill them. While the sister was ready to run away, the insolent wife insisted on the ground, fearing Guo's possible return. Defena. Meanwhile, the girl had a bottle on her back and was offering a good idea for rescue. This proposal was appreciated by the sister, who sought to find a way to escape. The events took place inside the casino building. There was an active demon who arrived in this very building. He fought with the main character, directing all his efforts to destroy him. However, one of his arms was blocked, making normal vision and fighting nearly impossible. When he freed himself from the tentacles that were hindering him, the demon finally freed his hand. His eyes reflected the wild rage that took possession of him. The hero clearly did not expect such a quick reaction from this villain. The battle continued, and the giant made devastating attacks on the outskirts of the city, trying to destroy the guy. During the fight, tentacles were also activated, moving at incredible speeds and causing colossal damage. The dexterous hero at that time was already skillfully moving along the villain's arm, gradually rising higher and higher. In just an instant, he was right at the monster's head. Having made a deft leap, he was only a few meters away from the main target. The brave hero decided to use one of the 18 blows that would frighten even the skies. This blow was powerful, but at the same time it was simple in execution. The blow significantly affected the monster, and it flew several hundred meters away. After this blow, he was completely paralyzed, unable to stand up, and then a lot of lightning appeared near his head. They seemed to be rebuilding him, quickly rebuilding the flesh on his head. This meant that even if the delicate parts were damaged, they would still recover instantly. The little demon turned out to be surprisingly resilient. Therefore, the powerful and brave guy decided to deal with his giant head. Meanwhile, events developed among the sisters. The insolent man was cornered, and a sword was pressed to his head. The wounds on his body quickly healed, and it became noticeable that he no longer looked human. The sister decided to find out what the scoundrel drank, suggesting that this medicine could help her sister. The fat man explained that this was a really powerful potion, and no matter what wounds he had, they should all heal. And if a girl needs this medicine and lets it go, then he will easily provide it to her. At this time, the villain's heart began to beat faster. A sharp pain pierced his body, making him feel unbearable agony, and vague premonitions surfaced in his mind, unclear and not allowing him to understand what was happening to his physical condition. His heart continued to beat faster, filling him with pain and fire. It seemed like this was a side effect that should stop soon, and the insolent guy was ready to run. The lady, stunned by what was happening, could not understand what was happening to this man. The enemy's arm began to recover again, but constant pain pervaded it. During the recovery process, the hand seemed to be on fire, although there was no such sensation before.